The Rob Carson Show is presented by Chapter, Medicare Guidance Simplified.
You don't need to live with aches and pains. Visit relieffactor.com today.
Hold it now.
You are about to hear the most interesting, informative, thought-provoking, and funny show in America. On air and on the World Wide Web. This is the Rob Carson Show.
This is the Rob Carson Show, and it's already Monday. Wow, like a small town with no stoplight. You just flew right through the weekend. Didn't we? Just flew right through the weekend. I hope you had a very nice weekend. I had a very nice weekend. I got out and about, got down into Maryland, went to a little fundraiser for a Republican running for county council up there, trying to flip Maryland because Maryland is just a disgrace. Maryland just is a mess. They got a guy who's the governor of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air head, Wes Moore, who's driving the state into the pits of hell. And I'm hoping that a whole lot of corruption is going to be unveiled in the state of Maryland. And Maryland has got to be at least as corrupt as California, certainly as corrupt as the state of Minnesota, as with so many Democrat states around the country. But hopefully, maybe see a little flipping here. I think people are just tired of it. I think people are tired of Democrat politics. But, I got to tell you, the Democrats are absolutely convinced, even though they're getting stomped into the mud with their attempts to gerrymander and our successful gerrymandering, getting rid of race-based gerrymandering. They're all freaking out about it. But they're still saying they're going to win the midterms. And I would venture to say not so much, because what happens when Democrats get elected in different states?
Let the exodus begin. Well, actually, it started already. We're talking about mass migration within the United States, from one group of states to another. This is
no. Americans want this nationwide. They want New York to be nationwide.
America, and we move, but you ain't seen nothing yet.
Really?
Consider this. In each of the next 3 years, 800,000 people will leave California and New York.
That's not what Gavin Newsom says. He says things are great there.
It's 800,000 a year. Another 500,000 will leave Connecticut, New Jersey, and Minnesota. These numbers are from economists Art Laffer and Stephen Moore.
That is weird. Between 2020 and 24, 892 companies fled New York, taking $47 billion in income with them. They're going to Florida, they're going to Texas, and all of that stuff. But certainly the midterms, the Democrats are going to hang on to Congress.
Quote, millions of people, thousands of businesses, and tens of billions of net income will flee high-tax blue states for low-tax red states. That's the important...
No. Americans want more taxes. They want that border wide open.
Point. People and money and jobs moving out of Democrat states and moving to Republican states. Taxes are what's doing this.
Yeah.
As we've said many times, you make good money in a high-tax Democrat state, and this new tax law will kill you financially. This is terrible news for blue states. It is a bonanza for low-tax Texas, Florida, Nevada, Arizona, Tennessee, Utah, and others.
Yeah, I think when Trump's out of office, I might consider moving down to Florida. We'll see, because Newsmax does have a big corporate headquarters down there right near Mar-a-Lago. So I might have to go down there because, I'm going to get sick and tired of paying these state income taxes. They don't have them down there. And it's kind of interesting. I saw a video this weekend from a Canadian woman. We're talking about these Democrat gerrymandered districts, and I mentioned to you that they all have a couple of things in common. They're minority districts. They have terrible schools, very high crime, very high poverty, very high dependence on government programs, and a good deal of grievance about the whole thing. And then they've got people in charge of these districts, these representatives, who do absolutely nothing but blame Republicans for the problems in those districts that the Democrats are causing. That's what they do. That's what's happening. And the bud is off the rose on this, and a whole lot of people are discovering this. Here is a Canadian woman talking about the crime in America, where all the murders are happening, and it's happening in the districts I just mentioned.
Hello, good morning. Canadian living in the United States. Every now and then a comment rolls in that just completely catches me off guard. I read this comment, and I was like,
I was thinking about this morning because I was in Baltimore this weekend, and Baltimore could be a great city, but right now it completely sucks. When I lived here years and years ago, about a dozen years ago, I used to go down to the National Harbor, and you could see where the Francis Scott Key, was on that boat, and he looked up there at Fort McHenry, and he wrote the national anthem, and now that place is vacant. Nobody's down there. Nobody wants to be down there because they don't want to get murdered.
Pardon? This can't be serious. You can't be for real. 50% of murders happen in 2% of the counties in the United States.
50% of murders happen in 2% of the counties of America.
United States. That
and they're run by Democrats.
Is bonkers. So I did what any normal and sane person would do when they read a comment that just makes absolutely no sense to them. As I read your comment, and then I researched it, and I came to my own conclusions.
Yes.
And I took notes.
Please do.
I said it in my previous video, and I'm going to say it again. As a Canadian, I was 100% led to believe that America was just
a lot of people coming to America from Canada.
Dangerous all over the place, and you were just going to dodge bullet the second that you walked outside of the house. So, fun fact, this statistic right here just changed how I view everything.
Yeah.
It's true. One study found that over half of all murders in the United States happen in just 2% of the counties. Now, let's think about that for a second.
Think about
the United States of America has over 3,000 counties, and a majority of murders are concentrated in a tiny fraction of them.
Yeah, places like Los Angeles and San Francisco and New York City and St. Louis, East St. Louis.
Meanwhile, over half
Chicago
of the U.S. counties had 0 murders, and around 68%.
That's where I'm from, Pottawatomie County in southwest Iowa. There aren't very many murders there.
8% of counties had either 0 or 1 murder for the entire year.
Wow.
So what does that mean? That means that the violence people see on TV and in the media is incredibly geographically concentrated. It's not evenly spread all over the United States like you're told and people imagine. And as a matter of fact, a huge percentage of violent crime is tied to very specific areas. Gang activity, drug activity, repeat offenders.
This is what they're trying to get rid of with Spencer Pratt in Los Angeles.
Trafficking and poverty, heavy urban pockets.
Heavy urban pockets run by Democrats.
So when all the outsiders say America is so dangerous, what they often don't realize is that the average American living in a normal suburb or town is not experiencing daily violence.
Yeah, this is why so many people are leaving places like California, like Los Angeles, like New York, and like Chicago, because Democrats make those places into hell on earth. They made California, they took Eden and they made it into a crap hole. It is pretty remarkable, but not surprising. It is not surprising at all. And it's kind of funny because, there's a division of the Democrat Party, and they're going way left, and it's going to fail completely. And I had mentioned, and I've been talking about this for several years, that the Democrat Party would have to reinvent itself, or it would have to fade into the dustbin of history. And this is what Victor Davis Hanson is now actually echoing. And I'm not saying he listens to me or anything, but it's kind of interesting. Great minds thinking alike. He says the Democrats are not going to moderate, and I believe this. After 2024, when Kamala Harris got her rear end kicked up between her shoulders by Donald Trump, they decided to lean even more left, and they're continuing the leftward lurch, and it's not going to work.
You put it all together, and that message of the Democrats is not appealing. And so, of course, in the short term, their strategy has been...
Yeah, so like the transgenderizing of children, letting boys compete with girls, having an open border, higher taxes, etc., not resonating, and they're still not going to change it.
We're not Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a fascist, and we're going to go demonstrate against Tesla and ICE and no kings, and we're going to try to put him in jail and impeach him on third term, all of that.
Go with that.
But long term, it suggests that they have two choices.
What?
They either have to change their culture and go back to more traditional lifestyles to improve their demographics and to go back to the assimilationist model, as I think the Republicans have. I don't see that happening.
No.
Or they would have to lower taxes and cut back entitlements in these blue states to retain their high earners and their upper middle class people who are for the most part leaving.
Yes. So now they're not going to change. They're going to continue these same things, these unpopular things that cannot win elections. So how do they stay in power?
The historian Livy said about Rome's problems in the late Republic, the medicine for them is worse than the disease. They don't want a society where a man and woman are married fairly early with 2 to 3 children. They really don't want a society that is racially blind, and they don't like the idea that a lot of red people stay in their states. They welcome them to leave.
Yeah.
And the result of all that is when they look at these long-term prognosis.
New York is going bankrupt. They're $12 billion in the hole.
I just went over. They get very angry. And so what is the reaction? Is it to change the agenda, to win you over the vote?
No, of course it isn't.
No. It's to change the system. And so if you want to know why they want to get rid of the Electoral College, or why they want the census to count residents that could be here, in many cases are here illegally, maybe 30 million, it is that their message right now does not appeal to 51%.
No.
So
this is why so many people are leaving the Democrat states.
Only alternative is to find radical changes in the system of governance to allow their unpopular agenda to be, what? De facto popular.
Yeah, there you go. So that's what they want to do. That's their plan of operation with regarding to the faceplant they did on gerrymandering in the state of Virginia. What they want to do now is to eliminate everybody on the Supreme Court in the state of Virginia. It's not going to end well for them. Anyway, I wanted to open the show with that because the Democrats are so convinced they're going to win the midterms. If they are, then why are so many people leaving states that are run by Democrats? It's kind of funny. We've got a bunch of guests on the show today. We got James Rosen on the show, Brigitte Gabriel on the show today, among other awesome guests. Also, Hillary Ford, which is going to be talking about Great Britain, what's happening over there. Keir Starmer could be out on his rear end this week. All of that's coming up. Your calls welcome, 800-922-6680. This is a Monday edition of the Rob Carson Show. Hey guys, it's Carson. You know my signature phrase, don't catch the stupid. When it comes to Medicare, that's easier said than done. Medicare is overly complex with thousands of plans, hidden gotchas in the fine print, and rules nobody really explains to you. Many people just pick something and hope for the best. That's why you need to know about Chapter. They're the only advisor that looks at every plan in the country, matches your doctors, your prescriptions, and your situation to a plan that fits your needs. When your call with Chapter is done, you know your doctors are covered. Your prescriptions are matched, and you go from, I hope I did this right, to, I know I did. That, my friends, is peace of mind. A call with Chapter is free for my audience, and there's no pressure to sign up. Call Chapter today. Here's the number, 27 Medicare. That's 27 MEDICARE. 27 Medicare for Chapter. No pressure. What's your excuse? Call 27 Medicare and don't catch the stupid yourself. Call 27 Medicare today.
Improvement can design it. From kitchens and baths, basements, additions.
Tim Walz is a lefty who's ruined his state. Now he wants our children to self-mutilate. His policies are disgusting and lewd. And now he says schools have to include tampons in the boys' room. Tampons in the boys' room. Tim Walz and Kamala, a couple of fools. And everybody knows that liberals want to ruin schools. Tim allowed his cities to be burned by BLM. Criminals, illegals, they can count on Tim. His uniform, Tim was disgraced. He really crossed the line the moment that he placed tampons in the boys' room. Tampons in the boys' room. Tim Walz is a comic. Kamala is too. And everyone should know the damage that these two could do. Don't ask me, I won't mask. Don't ask me, I won't mask aboard a plane. And I won't wear one in a car or a train. Mandate, not needed. Freedoms, we've ceded. And now Joe, he wants it back. A new mask mandate is his latest attack. Joe wants you to mask when you are flying. The rationale for this nobody's buying. Claiming it's essential, simply lying. Yeah, it's appalling. It's like Joe Stalin. And that's why I won't mask. Can't take me to jail. You can't take me. I won't mask for you again. The flight attendants, they can casually ask. But when I'm flying on a plane, I won't mask.
County.
The Rob Carson Show podcast is everywhere. Go to newsmax.com/listen for details.
It is the Rob Carson Show Monday. I was out at a little fundraiser in a place called Dundalk, Maryland, which is right near Balmer. And I really love Baltimore. It's I don't know. I've always felt kind of a kinship with Baltimore. Baltimore is to Washington what Walmart is to Target. Okay, it's like Fort Worth and Dallas. It's like St. Louis versus Kansas City. Although Kansas City's kind of crappy right now, run by a crappy Democrat mayor. About a third of the city is in poverty. The housing is not safe. The whole deal. That's just what Democrats do. And it's a damn shame with regard to Baltimore as well. And in this little area called Dundalk, you go from row houses into kind of an area. It's very similar like Omaha, Council Bluffs. Council Bluffs kind of a lower middle class, hardworking people, very proud, keep their lawns trimmed and all of that. And then a block away or a mile away, you got hell on earth. You got homeless people camped out on doorsteps in front of liquor stores, bars on the windows, and the whole deal. And those are Democrat-run areas. And it's a real shame, by the way. It's a real shame because we don't have to live this way in this country. We have an enormous amount of riches in this country, but the Democrat Party has driven the parts of the country into hell. Particularly, like I've said, these Democrat gerrymandered racial districts where they just writhe in poverty and addiction and broken families and high crime and dependence on welfare for a pittance. And then when that welfare gets cut, of course, Republicans are blamed for it. You've got this constant grievance culture going on. But a lot of people are catching on to it and realizing it's an absolute bunch of crap. And so they're kind of moving on from it. And then, of course, you've got all of these things going on with, for instance, in the state of Tennessee, in Memphis, they had one remaining district there that was gerrymandered racially for black people, all right? But the problem is that they elected a white guy named Steve Cohen, and they're actually just electing Democrats. So the black residents were electing Democrats, and Democrats, through 65 years of brainwashing in Great Society, have told people of color that Republicans are evil, Donald Trump is a Nazi, whatever you have is because of us, and they only want to take it away. And as I've said for many years now, and this resonates very nicely with people, is that the Democrat Party, with regard to the inner cities, promised the sun, the moon, and the stars, free phones, free groceries, free diapers in California. Now they're going to do free diapers in California. And Zohran Mamdani promised free buses and all of that. And then they get the votes, and then on Election Day, the day after, they get up and leave some money on the dresser. But they are not leaving the money on the dresser anymore. And they use inflammatory language to convince people of color that the Republican Party is taking away their right to vote, which is absolutely untrue. Again, in the state of Tennessee, in Memphis, they keep electing a white guy, Steve Cohen, and 5 times they've failed to elect a black Republican woman. Now it looks like a black Republican woman is going to be elected in Memphis instead of Steve Cohen, and somehow that's racist. It doesn't make any sense at all. Here is Hakeem Jeffries, more inflammatory language, slavery and Jim Crow, everything is slavery and Jim Crow. After a while, don't you think maybe this won't resonate with people? Well, it's not. It's really not. But what they do is, instead of recognizing that there's a problem, instead of turning things around, becoming electable with policy that actually works, they double down on insanity.
A new generation of Americans have to show up, stand up, speak up, fight, get into good trouble to usher.
Get into good trouble. That's a threat for violence, by the way. That's his new thing now. He says, get into good trouble. All right? Get into good trouble is a way that he can couch it so he can escape responsibility for it. All right? That's what Democrats do. This is how they foment violence against people like Donald Trump. And by the way, Donald Trump is linking Hakeem Jeffries to the White House Correspondents' Dinner assassination attempt. He linked violent rhetoric flowing from House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries to political violence when he said that basically maximum warfare, we need maximum warfare everywhere all the time. And that, of course, means violence. And then, of course, now he's saying, of course, this.
A new generation of Americans have to show up, stand up, speak up, fight, get into good trouble.
Get into good trouble. Fight, get into good. What is good trouble? Good trouble is something that forwards the Democrat agenda, keeps Democrats in party, and could include violence. It absolutely 100% could include violence.
Usher in an era of progress. We went from the progress.
You've ushered in an era of absolute crap. 60 years of crap in America's inner cities. Absolute crap. Have you been into East St. Louis? It's been this way for. Oh, hell. I've been going through there. I don't stop in East St. Louis. 35 years of my life, and it's always been run by Democrats, and it's an absolute crap hole.
Of emancipation to the backlash of Jim Crow. The progress.
Okay, listen to this. He's bringing up slavery and Jim Crow. Backlash. That's, of course, slave reference. Here it is again.
An era of progress. We went from the progress of emancipation to the backlash of Jim Crow. The progress.
Yeah, Jim Crow was a Democrat policy after the Democrats were defeated in the Civil War, and they were the slave states.
Of the civil rights movement to the backlash of mass incarceration. The progress.
Now that's because of all the crime that happened in America's inner cities when you guys did the Great Society.
Of electing Barack Obama to the backlash that has resulted in the elevation of Donald Trump, MAGA extremism, and this behavior that we're seeing coming out of the Supreme Court of the United States to throw the American South back into the Jim Crow era. So it's going to take an all-hands-on-deck effort. And
how has the Democrat Party helped you if you're a person in color, my lord? This is Cleo Fields, I believe, on CBS, talking about how whites won't vote for blacks, even though Barack Obama was the president for 8 years.
Congressman Cleo Fields acknowledges black representation in Washington has grown in ways that once seemed impossible.
Really? What?
This Congress has
not in an era of Jim Crow.
More black members than at any point in history, 63.
Is that not progress?
Yeah, it's progress, but it's not progress for Louisiana. There are people who, in this state and others, just will not vote for a black person.
There you go. That's the Democrat Party throwing us under the bus, thinking the worst of Americans, that we white people won't vote for black people. That's just utterly, utterly ridiculous.
For anything. You tell me I have to jump a certain height. That's the rule. I can work to do that.
This is how you keep people on the thought plantation.
Run a certain speed. If that's the rule,
what the hell is this about?
Let me work at it. I can do that. But if you tell me in order to be elected to Congress, you have to be white, there's nothing I can do about that. I need help from my government.
Yeah, the government is, the people are so racist. White people are so racist in this country. You need to gerrymander districts for race. I mean, honestly, it is quite remarkable, and it's not working anymore. I for years I've been saying that the crying wolf about racism was going to do a faceplant. It's finally arrived. Chief Washington correspondent for Newsmax, James Rosen, joins us next. Don't go anywhere. Hey guys, it's Rob Carson for Relief Factor. There's a reason why at my age I can still crush it at the gym, carry an armchair by myself, or do any home improvement project without pain during or after, and that's Relief Factor. When it comes to supplements, the two things that matter most, it works and you trust it. Relief Factor was created by a combat-wounded Vietnam veteran. He decided to become a doctor simply to help people, to heal them. If pain is holding you back, find out why so many people, including me, make Relief Factor a part of their daily routine. Try the 3-week quick start today. Go to relieffactor.com. That's relieffactor.com, or call 800-4RELIEF. That's 800-4RELIEF for Relief Factor. In New York City, Zohran Mamdani is doing an estate tax of up to 50%. That's what he's pushing for. For families leaving behind a life's earnings, that's devastating. What are you leaving for your family? Do you have life insurance? I do, because I want my kids to be able to live a great life, pay off debt, maybe have it a little easier than I did. You can protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get up to $3 million in coverage in as little as 10 minutes by going to ethos.com/Carson. Application times may vary, rates may vary, but protection is there for you. If you get life insurance through Ethos, it'll give you peace of mind in case something happens. Ethos helps provide financial security for your family. Ethos helps protect them in this frequently unpredictable world. There's no medical exam, just answer a few health questions online. Get a rate in as little as 10 minutes. Get the ball rolling today by going to ethos.com/Carson. That's ethos.com/Carson. Hey guys, it's Carson for Ghost Bed. I am sleeping better than I've ever slept in my entire life. I used to think a mattress was just furniture, but I got a Ghost Bed. Ghost Bed doesn't build mattresses like furniture. They build engineered sleep systems. Their beds are serious health equipment. Beds designed for relief and recovery, not looks. Your body should be healing while you sleep, not fighting for comfort. I noticed immediately. My first night on a Ghost Bed, I slept for 10 hours. If you're waking up stiff, tossing and turning, sleeping hot, even reaching for a pain reliever before bed, hoping tonight will be different, that's not aging. That's your mattress talking. Here's another thing I love about Ghost Bed. You get 101 nights to try it at home. If you don't like the difference, just send it back risk-free. Ghost Bed is currently having their Memorial Day sale plus an extra 10% off for my audience. Go to ghostbed.com/Carson and use promo code Carson. Ghostbed.com/Carson. Promo code Carson for the sleep of a lifetime. little bit of Beatles for James Rosen. This, I am the walrus. Oh, here it is. I would call this experimental, for sure. Not only is James Rosen chief White House correspondent, I should say D.C. correspondent for Newsmax Media, also knows just about everything about the Beatles. Very rarely do I send him something that he doesn't go, oh, yeah, I already know that, Rob. Come on. Come up with something new. How are you today, James Rosen?
I'm blessed to be with you, my friend.
Okay, so tell me about I Am the Walrus. What was that all about? Kind of explain. I am the Eggman. I am the Walrus. Cuckoo, cuckoo. What's it all about, bro?
Well, in plainest terms, this was a 1967 Lennon-McCartney composition, although chiefly by John Lennon. It appeared on the Beatles album Magical Mystery Tour, which was sort of a pastiche of different odds and ends they had lying around, and issued as part of the soundtrack for the film of that name. This is from the Summer of Love. This is from the period of LSD use by most of the Beatles.
That explains it. There you
I'm
go.
not sure that the lyrics survive much stricter scrutiny than that.
That's perfect. Absolutely, 100%. By the way, you do have this book called Scalia, Supreme Court Years, 1986 to 2001 out. Among other things, you're an expert on all of this. I did notice you had a pretty interesting story. I want to share a little bit of the audio from this Washington State, I guess, councilwoman who wanted to replace an American flag with a pride flag. And I wanted to play a little bit of this audio of your story.
Council heard proposals to modify, replace, or complement the 27 flagpoles that were installed in the city for the bicentennial celebration of 1976, one for each of the 27 variations on the American flag used since the founding. Council member Isabel Mata, seen in this photograph at lower right, advanced a proposal for the city to fly flags celebrating LGBTQ Pride or Juneteenth, and to remove, at least temporarily for that purpose, the flags representing the state of Washington or prisoners of war.
Oh boy.
That prompted pushback from the gentleman in the fleece vest at right, standing over Mata, Council President Nick Coelho, the proprietor since 2013 of Linwood's first ever board game cafe.
The flagpole itself, if we were to repurpose it, add a third rung, I don't like the idea of taking down the POW flag. I don't want to pit veterans versus other groups. That just feels off to me.
Here's the part that I like is James Rosen's description of the woman who wanted to replace the American flag with the LGBTQRSTUV flag.
Mata's City Council webpage identifies her as a queer, neurodivergent writer, advocate, and mindfulness meditation teacher who lives with her husband, Richard, and their 3 cats.
There you go. Did she
I thought you were going to play Earthbound.
That what?
Well, I thought you were going to play the councilwoman sound. I think they need to hear it.
Is it right after this? Let me play it. Okay, here it is. Hold on.
Her comments Monday, Mata suggested some of the 27 American flags conjure episodes in U.S. history that, quote, frankly, are not great.
Oh, boy.
To me, a pride flag is way more relatable than an American flag.
Oh, boy.
I would not raise an American flag at my house because I wouldn't. I wasn't even born here. But I would raise a pride flag. And as the most diverse city in all of Snohomish County, I don't think that I'm the only one who would maybe choose to have 27 other flags.
Yeah, there you go. That's you have good point. Good point. And she actually thought this would end well. She has since apologized, I guess, right?
That's correct. In statements to various news outlets that we confirm.
I would venture to say that America has gone a little crazy, don't get me wrong, but not that crazy. I mean, even in Washington State, we're talking about, really crazy, but even that was too crazy for the lefties out there.
You know, rare will be the occasions on which you will hear an elected official at any level of government. And we point out that Ms. Mata is a city council member for the city council in Linwood, Washington, which is about 15 miles north of Seattle. But rare will be the occasions on which you will hear an elected official at any level of government, starting from fifth grade class president up through city council, all the way to Congress and the presidency, declare an unwillingness to hoist the American flag at their own home. And so, you know, it raised eyebrows and it went national. And in her apology, the councilwoman stated that these discussions over diversity in celebrations of American history should be conducted with greater care and caution than she gave to it.
What venture to say, yeah. There certainly was no caution there. There's a lot of things happening in Washington, D.C. What are you working on right now? There's a few things I'd like to cover. I'd like to talk a little bit about this, the trial coming for this attempted assassination of Donald Trump. He has already, this Cole Allen has already pled not guilty, I guess. Obviously he is due his day in court, but it appears that the evidence would be overwhelming that he was actually going there to either kill or injure the President of the United States and members of his cabinet. What are your thoughts on that?
And potentially the President's wife, the First Lady, who was also on that dais that evening. Yes, you're referring to 31-year-old California teacher Cole Thomas Allen, who appeared in federal district court in Washington this morning before Federal District Judge Trevor McFadden, a first-term Trump appointee. And there, Allen entered a not guilty plea through his attorneys, who are assigned to him by the Public Defender's Unit, to all four of the federal charges that he faces. One is attempting to assassinate the president. Number two is shooting a Secret Service officer who was taken to the hospital with only minor injuries and who survived due to his use of a bulletproof vest. And then two additional charges that Allen faces include transportation of a firearm and ammunition in interstate commerce, and the discharge of that firearm, allegedly, in the commission of a violent crime. Additionally, his lawyers have filed papers seeking to have disqualified from working on the case the acting Attorney General of the United States, Todd Blanche, and the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Jeanine Pirro, on the grounds that, A, they were both in the Hilton Ballroom that night of the dinner, B, that they have unusually close relationships with the president, and C, based on some comments, public comments that Ms. Pirro has already made. The judge did not rule on that motion today. Instead, he set deadlines for the government to respond to the motion, and then for the defense counsel to respond to the government's response, and then set a status hearing with the counsel from both sides in that courtroom for June 29th.
I was hearing from Jonathan Turley. He didn't believe that motion would pass, that it wouldn't, those considerations would be tossed.
Well, the judge expressed skepticism about it today. He pointed out, Judge McFadden, that neither Todd Blanche nor Jeanine Pirro encountered Cole Thomas Allen the night of the alleged incident, and so he expressed. It seemed as though the judge was disinclined to grant that motion. However, the defense counsel have also sought to disqualify the entirety of those two individuals' offices from working on the case.
Gotcha.
And there has been some suggestion that the defense counsel would be mollified if the judge simply disqualified those two officers. But if they relinquished their efforts to get their entire offices disqualified, we'll see how it shakes out.
Now, I may have asked you about this. You weren't there that night, were you?
I was not.
You were not. Okay. Well, James Rosen, can you hold on through the break? I've got a couple other things I want to ask you about on the other side of the break, since you are the chief D.C. correspondent for Newsmax. Thank you very much. Also, the author of this terrific book you can get on Amazon, Scalia, Supreme Court Years 1986 to 2001. The preeminent expert on the Beatles and Antonin Scalia, James Rosen. More of that coming up on The Rob Carson Show. I don't want to get James Rosen too excited here. We're only doing Beatles bumps for his appearances, not for the rest of the show. I just wanted you to know. I mean, he's taught me a lot about the Beatles, but I'm not going all in on the Beatles with all my bumper music. But I do it in your honor, James Rosen, Chief Washington Correspondent.
And I am suitably honored by it. Thank you.
Oh, hey, by the way, have they refilled the reflecting pool? Because I saw a picture online today. And I was over there about a week ago, and they were putting the lining in it and everything. Have you heard anything about the progress?
I haven't checked it out, but I'll be eager to see how it looks.
It's very blue because it was a mess. It was full of scum and goose crap, just like Washington, D.C., the perfect metaphor for Washington, D.C. So bad that if Jenny and Forrest Gump would have stood in it, they would have died of typhus had they tried to stand in the water. Because it was a mess, but it is.
That would have been bad because we know that Forrest Gump otherwise was simply indestructible.
Yes, absolutely. But no, they're doing that. They've also got the ballroom is on. There have been many times to stop the ballroom. Have you heard anything about when that's going to be done? I mean, obviously there's a lot of work going on. I heard one of the largest concrete pours in the history of Washington, D.C.
Yeah, the open question is whether it's going to be finished before President Trump's second Trump ends.
Yeah.
Because the renovations are extensive and they are not just above ground but below ground, where there's a military bunker being prepared. Years ago I interviewed former Vice President Dick Cheney about his conduct on the day of the September 11 attacks, coming up on the 25th anniversary of that awful event, and he really ran the federal government while President Bush was aboard Air Force One and hopscotching around the country to different Air Force bases. And Cheney was removed by Secret Service into the Presidential Emergency Operations Center, or the PEOC. It was a bunker below the White House from which he helped manage the response, which included grounding every plane in the air, which was about 1,500 planes at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me in the interview that the PEOC was woefully inadequate to the moment in terms of its communications capabilities. It was really like a World War II era bunker. Being activated for use in a 21st century crisis.
Gotcha.
And so it's entirely fitting that there should be a new and updated military bunker below the White House for the use of the commander-in-chief in ensuring what Cheney called continuity of government in these types of crises.
Have you didn't go? You've ever been to the other one? Do they allow media ever to go down there? Probably not.
No, but photographs from that day have been released that were taken. These were photographs taken by official White House photographers.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating about them is Cheney is sitting in the middle, and you've got people who were more, if you will, typically involved in national security crises, such as the White House National Security Advisor, Condoleezza Rice.
Yeah.
You have people who knew President Bush better, like Karen Hughes from Texas, who was an important advisor of his. And all of these people can be seen. It's almost like a Renaissance painting, leaning into Dick Cheney. His authority, his sense of command from those photos is unmistakable.
Yeah, I want to play a little exchange you reminded me of. You were questioning Secretary of War Pete Hegseth last Tuesday, and you gave him a little what for. Here it is.
I want to first express my gratitude and admiration for the work you do and for everyone involved in our armed forces, and also for the accomplishments of Operation Epic Fury, which I think are too often dismissed too lightly. But those accomplishments don't obscure, I think, a central default that has occurred here, and I would like you both to address it. On the first day of this conflict, President Trump addressed the Iranian people directly and said, "When we're finished, take over your government. It'll be yours to take." And then on the seventh day of the conflict, in a Truth Social post, the president said, quote, "There will be no deal with Iran except, all caps, exclamation mark, unconditional surrender." What happens to that pledge to the Iranians? And when did the president decide to capitulate on his demand for unconditional surrender?
Well, James, I wouldn't. You started out nicely, but you ended exactly where we knew you would end. The president hasn't capitulated on anything. He holds the cards. We maintain the upper hand, and Project Freedom only strengthens that hand. And so he will ensure that whatever deal is made or whatever end state is reached creates ensuring that Iran never has a nuclear weapon, which is number one, and he's been focused on that, and the deal and discussions are centered on that. And what the Iranian people take advantage of after the fact is up to them, and he's been very clear about that. And maybe you do it now, maybe it happens later, but ultimately he's also been clear. We're not going to entangle this into some nation-building project. Our objectives are clear. They've been pursued from day one. Hopefully the Iranian people take advantage of that because they're being taken advantage of by this regime. As you know, 45,000 Iranians, innocent Iranians, killed before the outset of this. That's what this government does, kills their own innocent.
You knew, James, that the word capitulate was going to set him off a little bit.
You know, in retrospect, perhaps the word relinquish would have been
there you
a better
go.
formulation. But nonetheless, the absolutism of unconditional surrender
I get it.
is so stark
Yeah.
that to abandon it is, in a sense, to capitulate, to let go of, to surrender your demand for unconditional surrender.
Well, I thought as always, you ask the question with grace and class, which you always do. But you also are a journalist. You are a journalist. And when I heard it, I was like, okay, this is James Rosen being a journalist, and not somebody who's just a sycophantic butt kisser.
Well, and I don't think there are too many occasions where the secretary or the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Kane, who was also present, will hear expressed from the ranks of supporters that there were real accomplishments in Operation Epic that were secured, and that they're too lightly dismissed.
Very nice.
But that preamble did not spare me from
it didn't
from the wrath of Secretary Hegseth. So, I should point out I knew cursorily when we both worked at Fox News years ago.
Very good, very good. Well, James, always a pleasure to talk to you, by the way. I appreciate your insights on everything. Scalia, Supreme Court Years, 86 to 2001, a best-selling book. You're doing very well with that. We do appreciate you. Where can people find all of your glorious work, sir?
Well, you can watch me on Newsmax or Newsmax 2. Our streaming service, and you can find me on X at James Rosen TV.
All right, very good. Nice to talk to you. We'll talk again soon. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show. Very good. Very, 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 very good. Hey, guys, it's Carson for Birch. God dang it. Isn't he just well-spoken? I admire his ability to put together sentences. Does that make sense? It makes a lot of sense. I just think he's a pretty cool dude. I really am honored to know people like James Rosen. Whenever I see him, it's fast. We have fascinating conversations. I want to talk to him at length, but we are so bloody busy. With all the things we're doing. Anyway, let's look over here on the see who's watching. See who's watching here. Rob Carson Show on the Twitter is rocking and rolling. My Rumbly Roos are watching. And Grandma59, good to see you. Wild Bill West. Valentina. Sportek. Going to be going moose hunting in the fall. I've never had moose. Rita in Tennessee, good show. Rob, my lunchtime is over. All right. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I guess I kind of had lunch. I had breakfast lunch. I don't like doing breakfast food. I don't do cereal. I don't do eggs and bacon. I don't like it. I've never liked it. I'd rather have pizza in the morning. I'd rather have anything but breakfast food, to be quite honest. I don't like pancakes particularly either. I know that's sacrilege. You can't not eat pancakes. My God, what are you talking about? No, I'm definitely not a pancakes guy. Not an International House of Pancakes, not a Village Inn. Used to every once in a while, after, you're hungover, go to get some biscuits or gravy in the morning, but not such a big fan. All right, let me see what we got here. Here we go.
Bottom of every hour throughout the day.
It's time for me to talk.
Only on Talk Radio 680, WCBM, and 99.9 FM in Harford County.
You have 3 minutes here.
Okay. James Rosen, fascinating cat, and you know what? A true journalist. I heard his exchange with Hegseth, and I was like, capitulate. He threw the word capitulate out there, stirred it up a little bit. I thought it was a great question. Let me get rid of that on the screen. I had a picture of that city council meeting in Washington. The story that he covered. Fascinating man is James Rosen. I enjoy the conversation we have with him, and I do believe. I hope you do as well. I think you do. Constraints on commodities cause prices to go. If you filled up your tank with gas, I did this weekend. It was like $76. It hurts. It hurts. I get it. It hurts. Still not as high as when Joe Biden was the president, by the way. And he said, with regard to Ukraine and Russia, how long gold would be, maybe close to $200 a barrel. And he goes, however long it takes. Meanwhile, we're 70 days into this and everybody's freaking out. I understand. You know what else is a limited commodity? Gold. Yeah, they've mined it out of the ground. When it's gone, it's gone. Governments can't print more. That's why everybody from central banks to savvy savers are diversifying with gold. I did. I took a 401k that I had from selling cars and went with Birch Gold. If you've been thinking about it for years but have never moved some of your savings into gold, then why do you have savings? Savings are worthless. Savings are sitting in a saving account earning nothing. So why not have a little diversification? Maybe you got stocks, maybe you got this, maybe you got that. Maybe a little bit of gold would be good. Now through May 29th, Birch Gold giving away to first-time gold buyers rebate up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. How cool is that? For details and free information kit on diversifying into gold, text ROB to the number 989898. Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. Wouldn't that be nice? Text ROB to the number 989898. That's ROB to 989898 for Birch Gold. We've got a lot of stuff coming up on the show. I don't know if you knew this, but it looks like the peace deal, I guess, that Iran was kind of negotiating with the U.S. is being tossed. I think the president's patience are being tried. We're going to talk to Brigitte Gabriel from actforamerica.org. She's absolutely amazing. Going to get a little inside scoop from her on what's happening and where we go next. And then in the final hour of the show, Hillary Fordwich, keynote speaker, Newsmax and GBN, Great Britain News. Looks like the Newsmax of Great Britain. Contributor is going to be joining us to talk about Keir Starmer, maybe the door hitting him in the butt on the way out as Prime Minister, and maybe Nigel Farage moving in. We will see. Let's take a break and come back. This is The Rob Carson Show.
The Rob Carson Show is presented by Chapter, Medicare Guidance Simplified.
You don't need to live with aches and pains. Visit ReliefFactor.com today.
about to hear the most interesting, informative, thought-provoking, and funny show in America. On air and on the World Wide Web. This is the Rob Carson Show.
This is hour number 2 of the Rob Carson Show. There's much to get to on the radio program. First hour was a lot of fun. I had James Rosen on, Chief Washington correspondent for Newsmax, talking about a bunch of different stuff. At the bottom of this hour, we'll be talking to Brigitte Gabriel about what's going on in Iran. And, you know, here's the thing, and I actually kind of like it. A couple of things are happening, and I was listening to Steve Bannon this weekend about why Iran is delaying. It's about the midterms, and they're working with China to kind of delay this through the midterms so it'll impact Donald Trump because they want Donald Trump to get hit. They want Donald Trump to be slowed down because what Donald Trump is doing is so effective against China and against Iran and against the rest of the despotic world at large. And so that's what I think is happening there. And I think the president's patience are wearing thin. I think that sooner or later we're going to have to pull the trigger and we're going to have to drop a few bombs on some infrastructure. We'll see. We'll see what Brigitte Gabriel has to say at the bottom of the hour. I had mentioned earlier that Donald Trump has linked Hakeem Jeffries to the White House Correspondents' Dinner's assassination attempt by using words like, maximum warfare, everywhere, all the time. I mentioned earlier he's hinting at more violence. I'm not sure if this is the sound that I'm looking for, but here is Hakeem Jeffries with regard to what is... no, I said that's the wrong one. I'm not going to play that one. I'm not going to play it. You can't make me. No, I'm not going to. There you go. But he basically said good violence or good whatever he said. But the Democrat Party is right now, I said, and it's being echoed by a lot of other people, they're going to get violent this summer because they're seeing their ability to steal and gerrymander and take mail-in ballots and get people on the rolls who are not there, or the cleaning up the ballots off, dead people and whatnot off the rolls is going through. And so they're not going to switch positions. They're not going to become more moderate. They're not going to lower taxes. They're not going to do that. The only way they can continue their agenda going is by force. And they're talking about in Virginia, by the way, now, basically getting rid of the Supreme Court that killed the illegal gerrymandering that they tried over in Virginia. And here is Guy Benson to talk about their plan.
The Virginia Democrats just conducted an unconstitutional power grab, trying to change the state constitution via referendum, and they did it through an illegal process. Yeah. The state Supreme Court actually said you can remedy the process by doing it legally next time. Here's how you do that.
That's all you got to do. All you got to do is just do it legally the next time. Don't use misleading language on the ballot like you did.
And now you're seeing this meltdown on the left, where the New York Times is reporting about these machinations at least being discussed by some Democrats at high levels, one of which, as you just detailed, Joey, involves taking out the entire state Supreme Court.
That would be a gigantic mistake in a state where they were a colony that actually signed on to start the Revolutionary War because of taxation without representation. That would be a gigantic mistake if they tried and they wouldn't succeed.
Going back retroactively and saying, oh, you're all too old. The new cutoff is 54. You're all ineligible to be justices, so you're out. That is banana.
I can't even imagine how many laws that would be breaking if you just said that nobody on the Supreme Court can be over the age of 54 years old. Really? How about no Democrats under the age of 40?
Republic. Total institution destroying madness. Then the backup plan that they're talking about doing apparently is to invalidate the 2020 constitutional amendment that was overwhelmingly supported by Virginians that created the independent redistricting process that has actually brought about a fair map.
It is a fair map.
And then the legislature would say, okay, that one doesn't count anymore. Now we'll draw these new districts. I think there are some Democrats tapping the brakes on it.
Saying you better not do that because you're going to start something really, really bad.
If they seriously consider either of these things, it is seismic and like a red flag moment for the democracy that they pretend to care about.
Yeah, they don't care about it. They don't care about it. That's why they're not moderating their message. I told you they're going to have to reinvent themselves or disappear in the dustbin of history. And a lot of people are leaving the Democrat Party. A lot of people, particularly people of color, are leaving the Democrat Party. I was hanging out with this delightful woman. Her name is Sia Fanon, and she was a Democrat in good standing in Baltimore area for years and years and years. She knocked on doors for Barack Obama. She knocked on doors for Joe Biden, and she began to realize how intellectually and morally bankrupt the Democrat Party was becoming. And then after Charlie Kirk was murdered and assassinated and Democrats were celebrating, it's just, I can't be a part of this. I can't be this. This is evil. This is on the wrong side of good and on the wrong side of God. And she said that of all the time that she spent in America, she's from Sierra Leone. And you can see her on my Facebook page at Rob Carson Show. But she's from Sierra Leone. She said never by a Republican was she ever treated differently because of the color of her skin. She was never demeaned. She was never called any racist names by any Republican ever. But when she left the Democrat Party and announced her candidacy as a Republican, she was called every name in the book, starting with N, among other words, everything you could possibly imagine. They threatened her, they went after her, and she she's going to be a great a voice for the Republican Party, particularly people of color in this part of the country, in the Baltimore area. By the way, her name is Sia, and I said that she's going to do a podcast, and she's going to do it at night, and I said, why don't you call it See Ya Later? And I told that to Brian, my producer in Baltimore, and he kind of looked at me like, what, really? Why don't you think of it? I thought it was great. So anyway, See Ya Later was it. Here is... It's a great idea. See you later. I think it's spectacular. But here's Jonathan Turley talking about what they did in the state of Virginia, the face plant that Abigail Scamburglar did. And by the way, I put up a meme this weekend that I created that she's already a lame duck.
Virginia was always the gold standard for gerrymandering. Virginia doesn't like gerrymandering.
No, it was perfect. It was 6-5. It was exactly the split of the people who were being governed.
Makes it very difficult to do so. They have a commission to avoid gerrymandering. Mm-hmm. So to get this through, they had to do a sort of bum's rush to get this in before the midterm elections. And the Supreme Court of Virginia said, no, we're not going to sign off on this. No. Now, this was a face...
Well, you better say that everybody over the age of 54 has to resign.
Planting.
Who the hell comes up with that?
Of legendary size for Governor Scamburglar. She had previously assured voters that she was vehemently against gerrymandering.
Yeah, she completely lied to go into office, so now nobody can believe anything she says.
And as soon as she was elected, she went to the hard left and then asked and pushed through the most radical gerrymandering scheme in the country.
Yeah, it didn't work out so well.
And so this is a remarkable effort that has resulted in a massive loss for the Democrats. They spent a fortune.
Yeah.
In addition to the $64 million, they alienated half of this state.
Yeah, and they exposed their flank so we can kick their butts. They showed that the Democrat Party, I think anywhere, can be trusted when they're running for an election because they will turn hyper-left, take away whatever rights necessary so they can win. Here is Ted Lieu. I got to meet this guy in the, I didn't meet him, I just walked by him in the Capitol, the annex to the Capitol. I was like, oh, there were so many things I wanted to say, but probably would have gotten hauled out by security. Here he is with just a moronic observation of what happened in Virginia.
But that Virginia push by Democrats, you spent more than $60 million.
That's Marge Brennan on CBS.
On that redistricting effort. Wouldn't those funds have been better spent on those frontline candidates arguing on the issues?
You'd think. Yeah. But they can't win on the issues because they're on the wrong side of the issues.
What the Virginia Supreme Court did was not only wrong, it was disgraceful.
Okay, wrong and disgraceful is not an argument.
Basically said, hey, Virginia, spend all this taxpayers' money holding an election, do all this stuff. And
yeah, it was a completely skewed election. It was an illegal election. And it also had in a ballot initiative that was worded to be dishonest.
Oh, by the way, just kidding. That election didn't count. The court could have stopped this by not having the election in the first place. They suckered the people of Virginia.
Yeah, that's it.
It was a complete disgrace. Now, most of the money...
Yeah, nobody brought the suit until you guys jammed it down our throats and did the actual election, and then they had to turn it back. That's the reason why, you see. But for instance, in Tennessee, last week, we had another victory in Tennessee last week. We had the SCOTUS decision on Monday. We had Virginia on Tuesday. Then we had in Tennessee, they got rid of a racial gerrymandered district because the Supreme Court made it illegal to gerrymander according to race, right? And the Democrat Party is coming up with all sorts of just caterwauling. This is State Senator London Lamar saying it's slavery all over. And even though it's the Democrats who created slavery all over again.
This is a deliberate plan to take away the black vote.
Not one little bit at all. Black people can still vote.
Black people aren't Democrat and Republican. We vote our issues.
Oh, no. You vote almost exclusively Democrat because the Democrats like to keep you on that thought plantation in gerrymandered districts.
Issues. And so far, the black people in Memphis vote their issues, and to see them act like they don't know what they're doing and deliberately take away our ability to have a solid voting power and representation in Congress is one of the...
That's more of the same old nonsense fear-mongering. I saw this woman, she's an influencer online. Her name is April Chapman. And she had some brilliant thoughts on this. And what you just heard right there was absolute nonsense.
The right to vote has not been stripped from you. So if black people are still voting, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
Like, what are we actually talking about? Because Democrats up in Tennessee are acting like these Tennessee Republicans have snatched ballots out of black folks' hands, padlocked the polling places, and put Jim Crow at the front door with a clipboard. Let me break it down. They redrew their congressional map.
Yep.
And yes, the Democrats lost their guaranteed political playpen. They've had such a political stronghold for so long, and they've been emotionally using the fight and the struggle.
This is why the district in question here is like every other gerrymandered racial district run by Democrats, ruled with poverty, ruled with resentment, grievance, high crime, bad schools, never fixed. What are you getting for your representation? Nothing.
Of civil rights and the Edmund Pettus Bridge and all the bloodshed that happened. They've been using that in order to maintain political power in this one particular district.
Boom. Using fear to keep you on that thought plantation. I've got another thought from her on the other side. She calls Democrats something I think is a really, really good moniker for Democrats, particularly when it comes to race and whatnot. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show. Hey guys, it's Carson. If you are on Medicare or about to be, you could be overpaying right now and never know it. Here's why. Millions of seniors are in a plan that doesn't fit their needs. Because Medicare is complicated, many brokers just steer people into plans that pay them the most. That's absurd. That is so absurd, I decided to write a little slogan for it. Medicare sure ain't fair, and choosing a plan is a bear. Pick a plan with a broker if you dare, and you might end up with a scare. Okay, listen, it's a little rough. You need to know about Chapter. They're the only national advisor that looks at every plan in the country, matches your doctors, your prescriptions, and your situation to a plan that fits your needs. With Chapter, you'll see what a plan actually costs when you need it, not just the $0 some plans advertise. Your doctors are covered and your prescriptions are too. You'll have confidence you have the coverage you need. A call with Chapter is free, takes about 20 minutes. If you're turning 65 or already on Medicare, call 27 Medicare. Again, that's 27 MEDICARE. Call 27 Medicare today.
Deported. Deported. Deported.
Get them out. Ready? Are you ready? Get them out of here. Get them out of here. Get the hell out of here.
Deported. Deported.
Relentlessly slowing the spread of the stupid every day. It's the Rob Carson Show.
Memphis is so mad they're going to secede from the Union. I don't know exactly how that's possible, but here it is.
If this body believes that Memphis should not have the right to elect representation.
Yeah, city's going to secede from the Union.
Reflective of its own community. The legislature should explain why Memphis should continue to be part of the state of Tennessee. Let Memphis secede. You don't have to redraw maps when you let us out. Let my people go.
No.
Where are you going to go?
No.
Now other southern states are either.
Yeah, where are you going to go? Where are you going? Honestly, I would love it, and I've said this about the possibility of secession in our division. That if this actually happened, then the Democrats would be streaming across the border within a year because all their tax base would be gone. They would have no military, poverty, all the things that are happening in places like California. By the way, in California, it's just so laughable, to be quite honest, and apparently. Al Sharpton is very, of course he's being very dramatic. And hold on, let me find the article here, because Sharpton, of course, always, despite the fact he's the biggest race baiter in the history of mankind, he says that, of course, this is the end of the Union and slavery and all of that. While I'm looking for the story, I'll just go ahead and play this brand new from Jim Gossett as Al Sharpton on the Rob Carson Show.
They scrapped a racist map down in Memphis, Tennessee. All you hear is whining from poverty pimps like me.
Ooh!
That Supreme Court ruling means that Tennessee's all red, and our racial gerrymandering will soon be dead.
Oh, man! What the hell?
Lots of paid protesters in Memphis, Tennessee. Steve Cohen is pouting. In Congress he won't be.
He's a white guy.
I don't know why we care about this old white guy. To say that he's a victim, that's a great big lie.
Well, he's a rectum, not a victim.
Other states are following the lead of Tennessee. From our manipulation, they will soon be free. I will lose my racket if I can't make it about race. The thought of fair elections I don't want to face.
Yeah, there you go. That is Jim Gossett. Go to patreon.com, Jim Gossett Comedy, if you want to help him out. He's pretty amazing. In fact, he is Freaking amazing, Jim Gossett. Patreon.com, Jim Gossett Comedy. Here's what Al Sharpton said. He said it on MS Now. Dear God, you thought that they were going to change? MS Now got worse than MSNBC. They actually got worse. Sharpton said, I think we're seeing the end of the second Reconstruction. Blacks were slaves 250 years ago. Women couldn't vote, but we're not even going to pretend during this anniversary that this is about democracy. So, I mean, the whole idea of us bringing the country together, they're ripping it to shreds. No, bro, you are the guy who's been ripping it to shreds. You're a race baiter, and that's just that you've been doing it for years. He said, and they're doing it gleefully, and they're doing it so openly. The question is, will we be able to come with the same force that our forefathers did? So there he is trying to start a war or something, I guess, there anyway. Lydia Moynihan on CNN explained the obvious non-racism of the Tennessee race because by not racially gerrymandering the district, a white guy is going to be pushed out of the seat and a black conservative Republican woman was going to win.
A little ironic that the woman now who is likely going to win the 9th district in Tennessee is a black Republican woman as a result of this redistricting effort. It's likely going to be a black Republican woman who beats that old white man.
Could I make this very simple?
Isn't that amazing? That is just remarkable, isn't it? Let's switch gears. I want to talk a little bit about Bill Maher had a little monologue this weekend about this soy boy who attempted to shoot Donald Trump. The trial's going to be starting here very soon. He's pled not guilty going to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. The reason why he went was to kill Donald Trump because Donald Trump was there for the first time in years. Duh. Allegedly, whatever. And Bill Maher talked about this new generation of political assassin this weekend, and he was very spot on.
And finally, new rule, Luigi Mangione, Cole Thomas Allen, Tyler Robinson, and the ghost of Thomas Crooks must form a boy band called New Kids on the Glock.
On the Glock. Nice.
Just to drive home the point, these are not your father's political assassins.
No.
Things have changed. For one thing, today's assassins have popular support with the kids. Up to 40% of America's young adults say violence is okay to achieve a political goal. Wow. Seems like 5 minutes ago when one of the big causes of the left was gun control, but now guns are the answer.
Yeah, apparently. That's the Democrat Party for you. Here's a little bit more from Bill Maher about this attempted assassin in D.C.
Cole Allen took selfies before enacting his diabolically clever plan of running fast. You know, Cole, why do I think this is more about you than the cause? Yeah. You're running through the metal detector, but maybe you're really chasing clout.
Yeah, 100%. Here he is talking about Gen Z.
Gen Z lives are not that bad. Most of our lives here in America are not. How we live right now, in the year we're actually living in the country we're actually living in, doesn't warrant condoning political violence.
No.
I can see it if you live under a truly oppressive regime, communism, fascism, Catholicism. But that's not where we are now.
No.
You're not storming the beaches at Normandy. You're not standing in bread lines.
No.
You know, just like our No Kings we had here, the protests, they also had them in Iran. But over there, the protesters got shot in the street. And yes, ICE did that too, twice. The Iranian thugs did it 30,000 times. Have some perspective. Get real.
Wow. Listen to the audience. Holy heck. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, it is ridiculous. They're trying to make life in America seem dark and awful, and it's not. It's great. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show. Stick around for Brigitte Gabriel. In New York City, Zoran Mandami is doing an estate tax of up to 50%. That's what he's pushing for. For families leaving behind a life's earnings, that's devastating. What are you leaving for your family? Do you have life insurance? I do, because I want my kids to be able to live a great life, pay off debt, maybe have it a little easier than I did. You can protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get up to $3 million in coverage in as little as 10 minutes by going to ethos.com/Carson. Application times may vary, rates may vary, but protection is there for you. If you get life insurance through Ethos, it'll give you peace of mind in case something happens. Ethos helps provide financial security for your family. Ethos helps protect them in this frequently unpredictable world. There's no medical exam, just answer a few health questions online. Get a rate in as little as 10 minutes. Get the ball rolling today by going to ethos.com/Carson. That's ethos.com/Carson. Hey guys, it's Rob Carson for Relief Factor. There's a reason why at my age I can still crush it at the gym, carry an armchair by myself, or do any home improvement project without pain during or after, and that's Relief Factor. When it comes to supplements, the two things that matter most, it works and you trust it. Relief Factor was created by a combat wounded Vietnam veteran. He decided to become a doctor simply to help people, to heal them. If pain is holding you back, find out why so many people, including me, make Relief Factor a part of their daily routine. Try the 3-week quick start today. Go to ReliefFactor.com. That's ReliefFactor.com. Or call 800-4RELIEF. That's 800-4RELIEF for Relief Factor. Hey guys, it's Carson for Ghost Bed. I am sleeping better than I've ever slept in my entire life. I used to think a mattress was just furniture, but I got a Ghost Bed. Ghost Bed doesn't build mattresses like furniture. They build engineered sleep systems. Their beds are serious health equipment. Beds designed for relief and recovery, not looks. Your body should be healing while you sleep, not fighting for comfort. I noticed immediately, my first night on a Ghost Bed, I slept for 10 hours. If you're waking up stiff, tossing and turning, sleeping hot, even reaching for a pain reliever before bed, hoping tonight will be different, that's not aging. That's your mattress talking. Here's another thing I love about Ghost Bed. You get 101 nights to try it at home. If you don't like the difference, just send it back risk-free. Ghost Bed is currently having their Memorial Day sale plus an extra 10% off for my audience. Go to ghostbed.com/Carson and use promo code Carson. Ghostbed.com/Carson. Promo code Carson for the sleep of a lifetime.
I believe that the precise war that we're fighting now is one without a strategy and one without an end game and one that is costing us more than just American lives.
Yeah, that may be the
case. Every single Democrat has said we can't ever let Iran build a bomb.
Oh, yeah.
And then every single president, when Kamala Harris was running for president, she identified that as the top concern for her international. And then finally, we did something about that, and I absolutely support that thing. And for me, now I think it shouldn't be controversial as a Democrat to say, look, we don't have to agree every aspect of epic fury, but I do think we should all agree that here we are at the cusp. Now, hold them accountable and remind them they are the bad guys. We are not the bad guy.
There you go. That is John Fetterman countering, I always forget her name. Anyway, on Bill Maher's show, because the Democrat Party since day one of Epic Fury have been praying that the American military would fail and that the Ayatollahs would survive. That's just it's just true. Joining us to talk about this and so much more, one of our favorites, Brigitte Gabriel. She is the head of actforamerica.org. Brigitte, how are you on this glorious Monday?
Hello, my friend. I'm doing great, and I'm delighted to be back with you again.
You know, I'm not going to give up my enthusiasm and my joyousness about where we are going as a country in our 250th year and the possibility of freedom for the Iranian people. I'm not giving it up. It looks like Iran has offered an agreement that is totally unacceptable, according to Donald Trump. What have you heard? What do you hope will happen? I'm hoping their foolish pride will ultimately end in that government toppling completely so freedom will come.
Well, you know, we know they are fools. They are destroying the country, but they don't care. The IRGC, who is basically controlling the negotiations. I mean, obviously, it is very clear right now that no matter what the Iranians put forward, whether the prime minister, whether the president, whether the head of the parliament, the IRGC is dictating the outcome of this agreement. This is what they want. They want to continue enriching uranium. This is why they did not mention anything about it in their proposal. And President Trump, this is non-negotiable for him from day one. This is exactly what he wanted. He wanted to make sure that the uranium enriched material, that we get that out of Iran. He does not want that in the hands of the Iranians. He wants it out to protect it. We know right now that Iran has 1,000 pounds of enriched uranium, and enriched up to level grade 60. It's just one next step to take it up to 90%. It's at 60% right now. We know the Iranians said that they already have enough material to build 11 nuclear bombs. Yes. So they already said that, and President Trump took them at their own words. So we want to make sure we get that material out of Iran, and that's what President Trump is negotiating, and that's the number one priority in any agreement that is presented by the United States to Iran. Iran doesn't want to touch it. They do not want to budge. We want that to happen. The good news is, as President Trump said, we are monitoring. We know exactly where the uranium-enriched material is stored. We are monitoring it from space, and our space military, whatever he calls it. Mm-hmm. And as he said, we know it's safe. Nobody can get to it right now. If anybody tried to get close to this material, we could literally identify the person, what's his name, where he lives. We can see it down to his tag number, to his number on his suit.
Yes.
So we're not going to let anybody get close to that material, but we need an agreement, and we need to get it out of Iran, and Iran does not want that to happen.
Well, this is the only thing they have, Brigitte. They don't have a military anymore. They don't have a ability to build missiles. They don't have ability to launch missiles. They don't have a navy anymore. The only thing they have, the only thing that could cause mass destruction that they want, is a nuclear bomb. It would take them decades to rebuild their military. That's why they're hanging on to this. But I believe this is foolish pride. I think the president has been more than deliberate, patient, and kind with regard to going after the infrastructure and the bridges of the country. Do you suppose, as Jack Keane, among others, has said, that we're going to have to do some more kinetic strikes?
I believe we have to do that. We have to do the military option. And here is why, Rob. And you and I have talked about this before in the past. What's driving the Iranians is a messianic vision of bringing back their Messiah, their Mahdi. This is what's behind the nuclear development program. The religious crazy mullahs believe that if they can create a worldwide catastrophe, this is exactly what's driving their nuclear project. If they can create a worldwide catastrophe that will enable and pave the path to usher in the return of their Mahdi, the Messiah. So while we Christians and Jews, the Christians, we believe that Jesus is going to return.
Yes.
The Jews believe that the Messiah is going to come back, but there is nothing we can do as Jews and Christians to hasten the return of our Messiah.
Yeah.
However, in Shiite Islam, they can bring through a catastrophe or through a worldwide tragedy or catastrophic events, they can bring back the Mahdi where Islam will reign supreme above all else throughout the world. So for them, they believe they are doing the work of the Messiah, they're doing the work of Allah, they are enabling the return of their Messiah, and therefore it doesn't matter if they have to fight until the last man with the last breath. They will continue fighting to usher in the return of the Mahdi. They are religious zealots, and that's what we are dealing with.
Yeah, well, we've got a lot of good people in the country of Iran who are yearning for freedom, and I'm hoping that there will be a point that the leadership there will be so weakened that the people can take over there. I'm hearing from people like Steve Bannon that the reason why Iran is doing this is because they're working with China to delay the possibility of some sort of a peace to affect the midterms, keep fuel prices high, keep oil prices high, etc. Are you hearing that from people?
Well, that's a part of it as well. I mean, of course, they hate Trump so much. They want to make sure that they can drag this as far as they can, bring gas prices up, bring the cost of everything else up until the midterm. This is their goal because this is the only thing that they can have. They have two things to play with, the Straits of Hormuz and dragging this war long enough, knowing that the American public has a very short attention span.
Yes.
The majority of Americans are getting their news from TikTok, from social media, and they are hoping. This is exactly why they released their commercials. They even have a media campaign right now, basically bragging about how Iran is winning, how America is losing this war, hoping to impact the young minds and the generation who's getting their information from social media to impact the midterm election.
And then you got the American media. You've got the American media and the Democrat Party both on the side of Iran. That's what's making it so bloody difficult for everyone involved. On the other side of the break, I want to continue a little bit more on this with you, Brigitte, and I also want your thoughts on Keir Starmer possibly leaving, and maybe the people of Great Britain have had enough of this Islamic takeover of the country. So if you'll hold on through the break, we'd love to continue the conversation. We've got Brigitte Gabriel, actforamerica.org. Get involved. Let's take a break and come back. This is The Rob Carson Show.
between 2014 and 2016, that was a total of $1.7 billion. The same $1.7 billion he told Congress was frozen Iranian assets. Now, there was a back channel to Tehran through Valerie Jarrett, active for 2012 to 2024. This was after he left office. So, it was almost like a shadow government. He also sent pellets of cash in a plane to Iran. Now, why would you send money to Iran knowing that they are building a nuclear weapon and they are the leading sponsor of terrorism?
Barack Obama was a great statesman who left America much safer. I wouldn't put Donald Trump in the same paragraph. The reality is when President Obama left, because of the great efforts of people like Valerie Jarrett, we had 97% of the enriched uranium out.
Wow, he absolutely believes that. So that's Ro Khanna responding to Maria Bartiromo. I feel like I've just let a fuse for Brigitte Gabriel to go off. So go for it, Brigitte Gabriel.
Oh, don't let me get started on
I want you to get started.
We are in the situation we are in today. President Trump is cleaning up after the damage that Obama has caused to our country. Basically, we are fighting a war against an enemy that we financed, that the United States financed through Obama and then Biden with the pallets of cash. So they should be charged with treason for building our enemy, arming our enemy, supporting our enemy, emboldening our enemy to fight our country and kill our citizens. Every single soldier or American that died or have been harmed from the time President Obama took office until now, their blood is on the hands of the Democratic Party, the Biden administration, and everybody that was involved in it, as well as the Obama administration and everybody that has been involved in it.
I want to hear a little bit more from Maria Bartiromo and Ro Khanna. This is just remarkable.
There was a deal that we reached to get 97% of the enriched uranium out. In the process of that, Iran had certain assets that were Iranian assets, wasn't our money, that was unfrozen. And that was a deal that China, Russia, France, UK, Canada.
It doesn't change the fact that 10 presidents before President Trump all said the same thing. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. They are the leading state sponsor of terrorism. They cannot have a nuclear weapon.
And one president delivered, and that was Barack Obama.
No, that's not true. Not one of them did
Obama is the only one who delivered.
Congressman, you're talking fantasy.
97%
Obama
out.
did nothing about it. You're talking fantasy. Obama did nothing about it. Other than send money to the Iranians.
Obama got the whole world. He didn't send money to them. That's just factually false. He unfroze Iranian assets, but he had the whole world behind. Obama had Russia, China, the whole world on board, and they lost.
Wow. Can you believe that?
The chutzpah. The chutzpah, as Jewish people say. I love Maria Bartiromo. By the way, that's the only show I watch in the morning.
I know.
She's amazing.
I know.
But you know what? The lies, they lie to your face. They want to make Obama as a savior. And, like you said, Obama was working. He had Russia behind him. He had China behind him.
Yeah, Russia and China.
He had Russia and China behind him. He had the enemies of the United States all lining up together, working together against the United States. With the approval of the sitting president of the United States. Obama should be in jail as you and I are speaking. We should see Obama's picture in an orange suit because of the way he betrayed the American people. Because the blood of the Americans who died since Obama took office are on his hands.
100%.
That's what Obama should be charged with.
Well, I found it remarkable. He said, we weren't sending him money. We were just letting them have their money. I'm like, you idiot. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
This is the stupidity we were dealing with, Rob. This is the stupidity we were dealing with. This is exactly why our country is where it is today. And this is why President Trump is so aggravated and has been aggravated with the way a foreign government has treated our country for years under different administrations. And the only reason he decided to run, like you said before, 30 years ago, like he told Oprah and Barbara Walters, I will only run for president when I know that the country absolutely needs help and it needs me. And that's why he decided to run. Because after damage that Obama has done to the country after 8 years of Obama. President Trump said, we've got to save America.
Amen.
And that's why he ran the first time.
Amen.
And that's why they hated his guts. And that's why they made sure they stole the election in 2000 to make sure he doesn't come back to power. And here he is now. Thank God we've got President Trump back to make sure he fixes America and reverses as much damage as possible before his leadership ends in 3 years.
Let me ask you this, Brigitte, with regard to Keir Starmer's defeat this last week in Great Britain. Do you suppose that Great Britain and Europe have had a belly full of this Muslim horde that's moved in? Do you suppose that this could be a turning point?
Well, I think the Europeans are finally waking up.
Yes.
Finally. It is a turning point, but we have to wait and see how much they're going to be able to change things around. Remember, at this time, every major city in the UK has an Islamic mayor.
Yes.
Every major city,
Yeah.
including London, just like we have Mamdani in New York.
Yeah.
So we will see how much the British people are able to raise their voices, or how much they're going to be able to have the courage to stand up and fight. I can tell you, like, for example, our friend Tommy Robinson is having a rally in May, just in a few weeks, in the UK that I was invited to, and I couldn't go because of the hate policies that the UK now is enforcing. They are arresting or slapping a terrorism charge against anybody who expressed a point of views on the internet that the UK did not agree with. So as a foreign journalist, if you have posted anything on your social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, or have written an article that the UK deems that is Islamophobic, they can literally confiscate your computer, your cell phone, the minute you land on British territory. They can slap you with a crime against terrorism. And that's why a lot of people like me decided it's not even worth going to Europe. It's not worth going to England.
We've got to wrap things up, but it's not going to end well for Starmer and those people doing that. It's not going to end well for them. I really isn't. Listen, we got to run. I am so glad I was able to light your fuse today. You owned it, as you always do, Brigitte Gabriel. Of course, you can go to actforamerica.org. Brigitte, God bless you. I'm keeping my chin up because the people of Iran are going to be free. I'm standing by that.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. We want people to go to actforamerica.org right now and join us.
Okay, very good. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show. I love her, man. I love her. She's amazing. Let's see here. All roads lead to Hildebeest and Obama. Yeah, you're right. You're exactly right there, Gladys Kravitz. Obama started all of this division, all of this attempt to tear down the country. All of this leads to Barack Hussein Obama. The first year that he was in office, he had an ornament on the Christmas tree, a Mao Zedong ornament on the Christmas tree. It was a message to everyone that I am here. Communism and Marxism are here. Maoism is here. And I've said that from the very beginning. There's a reason for it. It was a wink and a nod. It was, here we are. Hi there, proud to be a Jew. What's going on? I'm glad you're a Jew, too. It's awesome. Love me some Jews. I've dated a few Jews. Pretty cool. I got some good Jewish friends right here in Washington, D.C., actually. So, thanks for watching the show today. I hope you enjoy it. Looney Tunes and Chris Schwab. Got Leslie Lady Hawk over there. Scott Davies. What's going on with you guys? Steve, 8095. What's up, Steve? I'm not sure if I've seen you there before. David McCulloch, 6023. What's going on? Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate you guys. Stephen Hands, thank you for the biblical quotes there. Always good. I'm going to this big faith event coming up May 17th. I got 2 tickets to it coming up this May 17th in Washington, D.C. I got to look this up. May. All right, there we go. Let's talk. Here we go. Time for me to talk. Here we go. Time for me to talk. Sorry, guys.
Get about 320 here.
320. Show Me How to Live. That is the song we're listening to right now. It's my favorite song of my life. He's asking God, you gave me life, now show me how to live. And Tom Morello. So I got 2 tickets to see this Rededicate 250, a national jubilee of prayer, praise, and thanksgiving taking place on May 17th at the National Mall in D.C. So that's coming up this coming weekend, this next weekend. I'm going in. I've got a friend I'm going to be going with, and people from all over the country are going to be showing up there to thank God in worship in preparation for the nation's 250th birthday. It emphasizes rededicating the United States as one nation under God, reflecting on God's providence, my favorite word, throughout American history. It's going to be amazing. Doors open at 9 o'clock. I've got a couple tickets, and I can't wait. It was pretty easy to do it. You just go online and just go to the website there and try to find it, freedom250.org, freedom250.org. But I'm going to be there. I just think it's important. I think it's important that we all be there. I'm very excited about it. Very excited. Because we are in this is a battle of good and evil. It is. There is no doubt about it. There's no doubt one little bit in my mind that this is a battle of good and evil around the world, Around the world is happening, and we're going to get into this next hour with Hillary Fordwich, with what's happening with Great Britain, and Keir Starmer appears to have been just had his rear end kicked. And he's trying to keep this big protest against the globalists and the Islamists from happening this month, and censoring people, keeping them out of the country, etc. It's not going to end well for Keir Starmer. It's not going to end well for Keir Starmer. He's going to be driven from office. He's lost control. I think I've got to, Here is a Keir Starmer in the death throes of his administration.
Let me be clear, these are really tough results. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. And we have lost brilliant Labour representatives, people who put so much into their communities, so much
and ruined them
to our party and
like Democrats.
Movement. And the voters have sent
your movement was a bowel movement,
a message about the pace of change, how they want their lives improved. May was elected.
They've made everything suck
to meet those challenges, and I'm not going to walk away from those challenges.
What a fop!
And plunge the country into chaos.
It already is.
It was a 5-year term I was elected to do. I intend to see that through. I am feeling very much for the brilliant candidates, the brilliant councillors, the brilliant representatives.
No, they're all terrible.
That we have lost because
like the city council in L.A. for God's sake.
For them, they have put so much into their.
Yeah, they put so much into ruining the country, and the people have finally spoken. And this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning in Great Britain, and I'm hoping that Nigel Farage becomes the next prime minister. We'll talk to Hillary Fordwich next hour. Last hour of the Rob Carson Show is right ahead. Don't go anywhere.
The Rob Carson Show is presented by Chapter, Medicare Guidance Simplified.
You don't need to live with aches and pains. Visit ReliefFactor.com today.
and now.
You are about to hear the most interesting, informative, thought-provoking, and funny show in America. On air and on the World Wide Web. This is the Rob Carson Show.
This is hour number 3 of the Rob Carson Show. Joining us at the bottom of the hour, Hillary Fordwich. Always awesome Hillary Fordwich to talk about Keir Starmer possibly being booted from the Prime Minister's office this week. Doesn't look good for him, and I'm glad because he's a globalist piece of crap who's really ruined the country. To be quite honest, and I just heard this. Are you ready? Did you hear the headline? It looks like the Democrat Socialists, the Democrat Socialists of America. Did you hear these? They're anti-billionaires. You billionaires are evil and awful and terrible. They're endorsing Tom Steyer for governor of California. They're endorsing billionaire Tom Steyer for governor of California, which shows you that the Democrats and socialists have no standards whatsoever. They don't care. They only care that somebody wins who possesses the same views that they have, which are hard, left, open border, trans boys playing in girls' sports, the whole deal, all of that. Trans girls, whatever the hell they are, they have penises and they play with the girls, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But there you go. So Tom Steyer is a Democrat Socialist of America. It's kind of funny. It's like saying that an all-black district in Tennessee votes for a white guy. It's racist to get rid of the gerrymandering by race in Memphis, but at the same time, the black people, I guess, there vote for a white guy exclusively because Democrats don't give a rat's behind about their they have no standards. My friend Chris Plants likes to say, if it weren't for double standards, Democrats would have no standards whatsoever. So they say that the gerrymandering in Memphis is getting rid of it is racist, even though it's elected a white guy for almost 20 years in Steve Cohen. And then the Democrats and Socialists of America hate billionaires, but Tom Steyer is their candidate in California. Honestly, you just can't. I mean, just stupid. I mean, honestly, just stupid. And AOC is as dumb as a box of rocks without the rocks. Did you hear her? She was talking like the University of Chicago, and she was. I don't even. Who would go see a panel with her as the head of the panel, unless it was like to exemplify how you don't want to be stupid, But anyway, she was doing it, and here she is talking about the American Revolution, she says, was actually a revolt against billionaires, which is so stupid. I don't even know what to say. I'm going to give you a warning, as I am wont to do, that the more you listen to her, the dumber you're going to get. She makes the whole world less smart. But you'll snap back, okay? If you're a Democrat, you may not recover. But if you are a conservative in good standing, you're going to lose an IQ point or two. Don't worry, it won't last long.
The American Revolution was against the billionaires of their time. And we are declaring independence from such an extreme marriage of wealth and power and the state.
Okay. So they just endorsed a billionaire in the state of California, and it was a rebellion against the king. The king, technically, I guess, would have been considered a billionaire, but he didn't get that way by being inventive, coming up with a product, bringing it to market, anything like that. He simply confiscated the wealth of the people. That's the difference. Here's the comeback for this, by the way. He deserves it.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
Close.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
No.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Oh yeah.
I award you no points.
No.
And may God have mercy on your soul.
Oh, I swear to God. Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, it's like, and then people sit there and go, oh, she's real smart. Oh, she's real smart. She's real smart. I'm going to vote for AOC. I want her to be president of the United States. Oh, my God. Here's some more of her. Oh, I'm sorry. I hate to do this to you, but I got to do it. Here she is talking about how after a certain amount of money, you're not earning your money. Again, you're going to lose IQ points. Here we go. Ready? 1 + 1 = 2. Okay? 1 + 1 = 2. AOC.
There's a certain level of wealth and accumulation that is unearned, right?
2 + 3 = 7.
You can't earn $1 billion. That's right. You just can't earn that.
4 + 4 = giraffe. See?
Exactly correct. You can get market power. You can break rules. You can do all sorts.
Shoe, hat, airplane.
Sorts of things. You can abuse labor laws.
Whoa.
You can pay people less than what they're worth. But you can't earn that, right? And so you have to create a myth.
Okay, and you just hold on a second. I have these little inhalers called boom boom sticks. Hold on one second. I'm gonna do the nose here. Oh, there we go. I'm better. Are you okay? Are you okay? What exactly just happened? I played some AOC audio. Okay, it's coming back to me. It's coming back to me. They just the Democrat Socialists of America they just endorsed a billionaire, Tom Steyer, for governor of the state of California. Dana Bash called out Gavin Newsom, as he's known, for the lack of affordability because he's made California, he's made Eden into a crap hole.
California has the highest cost of living in the nation. The state's prices are 11% higher than the national average. We were actually out to dinner here in Nashville last night. We met a couple from California. Yeah. They moved out of California because...
This guy, I mean, he is such a sleaze ball. I mean, women in the audience... If you saw this guy and he was at a bar, wouldn't you run the other direction from this guy? He is such a creep.
They couldn't afford the rent or even to buy a home and also start a family.
Yeah, we've had hundreds of thousands of people move in California the last 2-3 years.
No. It's the highest outbound of any state for 6 years.
Seen population growth. As you know, we moved from 6th to the 4th largest economy in the world.
You've been saying that for years. You've got a $230 billion train to nowhere that was only supposed to cost $30 billion.
We dominate now in every key industry, from AI, quantum, robotics. We dominate in ag. We dominate forestry.
But people are struggling to afford things like your mom was.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. He's got a new diaper program. He's going to be. This makes perfect sense, actually. That Gavin Newsom would be doing a free diaper program because, like diapers, he's full of crap. Yeah, he's full of crap. But they're going to give away the diapers to newborns, poor women, poor families. But there's a catch. You see, his wife is involved with one of the people in charge of the program and her nonprofit.
So Gavin Newsom's California just announced that they're going to be providing free diapers for newborns across the state.
This is Brittany Hughes from MRC TV.
State. Sounds great, right? Wait a minute. Because this is how they get you.
How?
Newsom says the Golden State Start program will give families 400 diapers when they leave the hospital with their newborn.
How long is that going to last?
And of course, leftists are using this to claim that Newsom and Democrats are more pro-family and pro-life than Republicans. Except, here's the thing.
What?
At 10 diapers a day,
Yep.
400 diapers will get a family with
That's more diapers than Joe Biden uses.
a newborn through about 5 weeks. The program
Wow, 5 weeks of diapers.
is going to cost the state upwards of $12.5 million
Yeah.
next year alone,
Uh-huh.
up from $7 million this year.
I know.
So I'll let you do
It'll be $200 million next year after.
the future math. That money is going to be funneled through a nonprofit
Yep.
called Baby to Baby,
Baby
which
to
will
Baby.
then hand out their branded diapers to
Yeah.
400 participating hospitals. California has about 500 plus hospitals,
And the diapers are going to cost like 10 times what a normal diaper would.
give or take. Oh, and did I mention that Baby to Baby's CEO, Nora Weinstein, is really good friends with Gavin Newsom's wife and even sits on the board of her California Partners Project?
Wow, unbelievable. Unbelievable, the scumbaggery in the state of California. Spencer Pratt is running for the governor, and I think he's going to win out there. I hope and pray he's going to win out there. It's kind of funny because a bunch of unions, I guess, got together. They put together an ad against him All right. Turned out, this is from the Los Angeles County Federation of Labor, the AFL-CIO, decided to run an ad. Oh, no, he's not running for governor. He's running for mayor of L.A. is what I was trying to say. And they thought that they were going to really, drop the microphone on this for Spencer Pratt. Turns out it ended up being an ad for Spencer Pratt because nobody wants what they're selling.
Republican Spencer Pratt is the last thing Los Angeles needs for mayor. Pratt opposes using taxpayer money to build brand new houses for our unhoused neighbors.
Yeah, because all the people in, they had their houses burned down because of the fire last year, don't have a house yet.
Saying it's time for the homeless to get help or get out.
Yeah, that's what people want to happen.
Pratt thinks LA needs thousands more police officers.
Yeah, that they do.
Rather than more social workers, and Republican Spencer Pratt.
Yeah, we don't need more social workers, duh.
Pratt thinks public employee unions should have less power, not more. LA
Again, there you go.
is on the right track and needs to stay the course. Vote no on Republican Spencer Pratt.
LA is on the right path. Oh my God, are you kidding me? Oh my God. Here is Spencer Pratt saying, now this is why he's winning. This is why people love him. He's saying that all the drug addicts, all the criminals, everybody who wander around town, pants down, needles in their arms, he's going to give them a grace period, and then you better GTFO.
You start putting handcuffs on people, watch how many people leave. 100%. This idea that everyone, if you let everyone do drugs and do whatever they want and let the criminals make the outside asylum and with no guards, if you let them do that, they're going to do that. But so when I'm mayor, my plan is first 3 weeks, signs up across the city, no more nakedness, no more drug use, no more robbing, no more
crabbing on the sidewalk,
no more burning dogs in the street, no more dog abuse. On every sign, on every part, and we're going to go around, we're going to warn everybody, hey, you got 3 more weeks of this. Clock's ticking. Just keep telling everyone, so the people that are aware, they're like, oh, wow, there's a new mayor in town. Yeah. They may start leaving. And then when the 3 weeks, or maybe we'll even do 2 weeks, maybe people will want it faster.
Yeah.
And then once we start enforcing the laws, boom, streets will be back. You know who else I'm going to bring in? The CDC, because there's medieval diseases in these encampments. They're not swabbing these encampments. They're not swabbing the streets. People are just living in feces and drug use and dogs burning and body. We need these.
This is why he's going to win. This is why he's going to win. This is why this has to spread around the country. This has to happen in Baltimore, for God's sake. It's already happened in Washington, D.C. Donald Trump cleaned this town up like you wouldn't believe. Did the same thing to Memphis, for goodness sake. This is what people want to hear. We don't have to live in darkness anymore. We don't have to live in darkness anymore in these Democrat hellholes. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show. Hey guys, it's Carson. You know my signature phrase, don't catch the stupid. When it comes to Medicare, that's easier said than done. Medicare is overly complex with thousands of plans, hidden gotchas in the fine print, and rules nobody really explains to you. Many people just pick something and hope for the best. That's why you need to know about Chapter. They're the only advisor that looks at every plan in the country, matches your doctors, your prescriptions, and your situation to a plan that fits your needs. When your call with Chapter is done, you know your doctors are covered. Your prescriptions are matched, and you go from, I hope I did this right, to, I know I did. That, my friends, is peace of mind. A call with Chapter is free for my audience, and there's no pressure to sign up. Call Chapter today. Here's the number, 27 Medicare. That's 27 MEDICARE. 27 Medicare for Chapter. No pressure. What's your excuse? Call 27 Medicare and don't catch the stupid yourself. Call 27 Medicare today.
Two girls that Swalwell groped before. They say there's 50, maybe more. It's a sordid tale. Eric should be in jail for all the girls he groped before. It finally forced his resignation. He left the Congress in disgrace. And now we have an explanation why female staffers carried mace. To all the girls that he attacked, and to the women who fought back, Swalwell needs to pay. Arrest Eric today for all the girls that he attacked. To all the years that he should serve, a prison stay he does deserve.
So one of the most epic fails in the history of politics is what Karen Bass did with regard to the Palisades fires, being completely unprepared, being in Africa, leaving despite knowing there was danger, and the absolutely terrible job with regard to recovery of the fires a year and a half ago, and 10 houses have been replaced out of 10,000 that were burned down. But Karen Bass is ready to accept responsibility. She says the buck stops with climate change.
Another issue is your response to the deadly and devastating fires in January. Your challengers have accused you of mismanaging that response on a number of levels.
Because you did.
Spencer Pratt personally blames you for his family losing their homes in those fires. Are you responsible for what happened there and the mismanagement that did occur in those fires and the response to them?
Listen.
Let me just say that as the mayor of the city, the buck stops with me. That is very, very clear.
Okay.
What was true of our city, but not...
So it's her fault there. She said, the buck stops with me, so I'm going to take responsibility here.
Just our city, our region, our county, was that we were not prepared because, let me just tell you, with climate change, we are experiencing climate events that Los Angeles is not prepared for.
No, you always have fires. It happens every damned year. California is known for its disasters. The problem is you've made them much worse because you've refused to clear brush. You get rid of a scrub that's dry because you're afraid a weevil of some kind will die or something. Who the hell knows? Or maybe an endangered poison ivy plant will die. It's your terrible, terrible, terrible mismanagement, your awful, awful, awful rules and regulations for rebuilding and fire management. That's the reason why. And, of course, not filling up reservoirs of water, making sure that there's plenty of water available to fight fires, diverting water from snowfall in the mountains into the ocean. I mean, I could go on and on about how stupid and how terrible you are. And this is why you're in such hot water right now as the mayor of Los Angeles, because you are as big a fail as you could possibly imagine. I mean, you couldn't imagine a bigger fail than what she did before the fires, during the fires, and after the fires. Absolute incompetence. And then you got the third most powerful person in L.A. She's Nichia Ramen. And not the good ramen like the stuff you buy in the bowl at the store, and it's like $3 or $4. I'm talking the bad ramen, like the 5 for $1. It's been 5 for $1 since 1987. I know this. I was in college. But anyway, Nichia Ramen, all of a sudden when she's running for L.A., she was all, defund the police, defund the police. Well, again, one of the dumbest things ever to be imagined by the Democrat Party. Get rid of and defund the police. I mean, yeah, right? Dude, can we all agree? So completely stupid. I mean, everything about it failed, caused death and destruction, and it's still resonating. And now she's all of a sudden cool with refunding the police when she's running for mayor.
I want to have an honest conversation about public safety. I want to make sure we're paying our city workforce well. I want to make sure we're maintaining our police force and expanding other kinds of responses to calls for help from people. But we can't do any of that if we are making political decisions about the city's budget instead of real decisions that will deliver real services for people.
Wow. So you no longer believe in defunding the police?
No.
And what caused you to change your mind?
Maybe all the death. That wasn't this death and destruction. It was that she's running for mayor and everybody knows that she screwed up.
You know, I think we need to be able to ensure that the city can respond to calls for service. And we have to make sure that we are able to respond to calls for help around public safety issues. And I think in order to do that at this moment, with our response system, we need to be able to maintain the size of our police force.
Whoa. I mean, if you ever entertained the concept of defunding the police because all the police were racist in the year 2020, you should never be able to be in elected office again. Or, I mean, honestly, if you were that stupid, if you would, at that point in your life, could make such an absurd and ignorant statement or endorse such an absolutely insane policy, you should never be able to be in public office again, ever. Because you caused the death of a lot of people. You caused the injury of a lot of police officers. I can go on and on. If you're that bloody stupid, you should never be allowed to run in public office again. In the state of California, Saturday, girls' high school track and field championship, biological male dominated the competition. A.B. Hernandez, biological male student, qualified at the Europa Valley High School in Riverside County, qualified and competed, ended up kicking butt in the long jump division, 3 prelim, triple jump division by wide margins, tied for first in the high jump division, and they had a little protest. Girls only sports had a little protest, stating the obvious. And again, another policy that if you were down with this, boys competing as girls with girls, then you should never be allowed in public office again.
Gavin Newsom is a spineless bully to our daughters. He whispers it's unfair, then rams boys into girls' sports, showers, scholarships, while smearing us moms and others that are fighting this as bigots and other names. He's actually trying to cause harm to those that are speaking up, because we've seen what those names have caused. People's lives
it's psychosexual abuse.
Are being threatened. Our girls' lives are being threatened. We have girls graduating early. Did you know that? In Harupa Valley, there's girls that had to graduate early because the bullying became so bad. That is horrible. They robbed those girls.
Yeah. Unbelievable. The Democrat Party, they say they're so pro-woman. I can't think of anything less pro-woman than pretending that boys can become girls. Mother's Day was yesterday. Moms are born with girl parts and have babies. Yeah, they menstruate and then they have babies. There's something glorious and wonderful about a mother. And the Democrat Party whizzed on mothers and daughters and every female in America with this absurdity. Let's take a break and come back. Hillary Fordwich joins us next to talk about Keir Starmer going bye-bye. Don't go anywhere. Hey guys, it's Carson for Ghost Bed. I am sleeping better than I've ever slept in my entire life. I used to think a mattress was just furniture, but I got a Ghost Bed. Ghost Bed doesn't build mattresses like furniture. They build engineered sleep systems. Their beds are serious health equipment. Beds designed for relief and recovery, not looks. Your body should be healing while you sleep, not fighting for comfort. I noticed immediately. My first night on a Ghost Bed, I slept for 10 hours. If you're waking up stiff, tossing and turning, sleeping hot, even reaching for a pain reliever before bed, hoping tonight will be different, that's not aging. That's your mattress talking. Here's another thing I love about Ghost Bed. You get 101 nights to try it at home. If you don't like the difference, just send it back risk-free. Ghost Bed is currently having their Memorial Day sale plus an extra 10% off for my audience. Go to ghostbed.com/Carson and use promo code Carson. Ghostbed.com/Carson. Promo code Carson for the sleep of a lifetime. In New York City, Zoran Mandami is doing an estate tax of up to 50%. That's what he's pushing for. For families leaving behind a life's earnings, that's devastating. What are you leaving for your family? Do you have life insurance? I do, because I want my kids to be able to live a great life, pay off debt, maybe have it a little easier than I did. You can protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get up to $3 million in coverage in as little as 10 minutes by going to ethos.com/Carson. Application times may vary, rates may vary, but protection is there for you. If you get life insurance through Ethos, it'll give you peace of mind in case something happens. Ethos helps provide financial security for your family. Ethos helps protect them in this frequently unpredictable world. There's no medical exam, just answer a few health questions online. Get a rate in as little as 10 minutes. Get the ball rolling today by going to ethos.com/Carson. That's ethos.com/Carson. Hey guys, it's Rob Carson for Relief Factor. There's a reason why at my age I can still crush it at the gym, carry an armchair by myself, or do any home improvement project without pain during or after, and that's Relief Factor. When it comes to supplements, the two things that matter most, it works and you trust it. Relief Factor was created by a combat-wounded Vietnam veteran. He decided to become a doctor simply to help people, to heal them. If pain is holding you back, find out why so many people, including me, make Relief Factor a part of their daily routine. Try the 3-week quick start today. Go to ReliefFactor.com, that's ReliefFactor.com, or call 800-4RELIEF. That's 800-4RELIEF for Relief Factor.
Well, breaking tonight, Sir Keir Starmer looks set to resign as Prime Minister in this coming week. I know you've heard it all before, but we've seen huge speculation this evening that suggests the Prime Minister's time has indeed run out. Wes Streeting has told Sir Keir Starmer that he is preparing his case to be the next Prime Minister. The Telegraph has indeed disclosed this evening. Former Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner has also posted on X this evening demanding that Starmer allows Andy Burnham to return to Westminster. She's also criticised a so-called toxic culture in Number 10.
Okay, that is GB News, by the way, the Newsmax of Great Britain, where Hillary Fordwich is a contributor also on Newsmax as well as a public speaker. I've been dying to talk to Hillary about this for days. Hillary Fordwich, welcome to the Rob Carson Show.
Good afternoon. Smashing to be with you. Thank you for having me, Rob.
All right, try to explain what's going on here. Starmer's had been defeated pretty badly. I saw Nigel Farage was talking about the possibility of moving in to the position of Prime Minister. We heard other names mentioned here. What's going on, and how is this going to come down?
Well, yes, there was an absolutely disastrous, what is referred to as a by-election. And a by-election in the UK, I think the closest analogy is it's like a midterm election here, which is like a sort of an interim election, and they lost over 1,500 seats. And what's really important is, just like in America, we have places that are Democratic strongholds. There are places in England that are really Labour strongholds, like Wales. Wales have been voting for Labour for over 100 years, Rob, and they lost Wales. The head of the Labour Party in Wales lost her seat. This was catastrophic.
Yes.
And basically, the vote is saying, the public is saying, we don't want Keir Starmer, we don't want Labour. They're projected, the job losses this year, the unemployment, the state of the economy is disastrous, and they want him out.
So who's going to replace him if he goes, and where is Nigel Farage in all of this?
Well, that's a good question. There are a couple of people that are sort of in the running. Wes Streeting is the former Secretary of Health and Social Care. He's one of the frontrunners, and he's basically viewed as, people sort of say, boring but dependable, sort of like your solid civil servant type. Angela Rayner, she's a former Deputy Prime Minister. She was the Secretary for State, I think it was State Housing and Commercial Local Government. Mm-hmm. But she has her own issues, because actually it's considered quite funny in the UK. She's Secretary of Housing, and yet she had a second and third property, and she wasn't declaring her taxes and blamed it on an accountant. So she's got her own kind of
like the Ilhan Omar of Great Britain.
That's a very good point. Very good. I like that analogy, Rob. Yeah, you're up on your politics. You know what you're talking about. And the other candidate that has been very popular mayor is the mayor of Manchester, Andy Burnham, who, interestingly enough, actually Sir Keir Starmer tried to block being able to run. So now, to answer your question in a nutshell, those are sort of the front runners. So where does Nigel Farage stand in this, and what's going to happen? Well, there was a lady who was a former minister. Her name is Catherine West. She actually came out over the weekend, and she actually has, and I don't mean to sound too graphic, but more balls than most men seem to have, because she actually came out and said that she is going to force a vote for the leadership of the party. I mean, very strong on her part. And so it looks like most people are saying, now I'm not predicting this, but I'm saying just generally, people say that we can't see him maintaining his leadership until the end of the week. Like, is he going to even last this week? Now, what happened today, and then I'll answer the Nigel Farage thing and be done. What happened today was Sir Keir Starmer delivered a speech, which was supposed to be his speech of salvation for himself and his party. Oh. And basically, it wasn't. It was wishy-washy. It wasn't authentic. It was not received well. And it was more of, we're going to do this and that. Well, he's been in power since 24, and he hasn't done this and that. And now, to answer your question, Nigel Farage, he swept the local, what I mentioned, by-elections, kind of like our midterms. He swept those. They won so many seats. He's looking very good. The actual next election in the UK, if there isn't a national election called beforehand, would be in 29. So we're now in 26. It's a couple of years off, but an election could be called at any time.
Mm-hmm. I understand that there were going to be some massive protests in Great Britain against Starmer and the New World Order class there, put together by Tommy Robinson, and it looks like Starmer, and I think this is going to blow up in his face big time, is talking about censoring them, not allowing them to come into the country. I think this is lighting throwing gasoline on an already burning fire. What are your thoughts on this?
You're absolutely right, because, Rob, one thing that I can tell you that most British people pride themselves on is being the bastion of free speech. But I mean, and actually it was, King Charles reminded everybody that, so many we consider are fundamental American values were based on English common law, were based on English freedom of speech, were based on what the British had established and what happened at Runnymede, the Magna Carta. The Magna Carta is mentioned by the Supreme Court literally on a daily basis, and freedom of speech. So this is literally the core of British values, and you're totally and utterly right. It's kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back, or you're right, throwing gasoline on an otherwise already lit fire.
There's a lot of similar dynamics. I mean, this is a globalist cabal that are doing the same things in countries around the world. The United States, obviously, absolutely mirrors what's going on. I would venture to say, when you look at the state of California, the leadership of the state, the leadership of the city of L.A., that same sort of dynamic. You've got people who've allowed open borders, have allowed the descent of the culture into the pits of hell, loading illegals up with largesse to ensure their slavish dedication to a certain party. This is all the same crap that has been happening all over the country. It sounds like it's beginning to be turned on its heels here. Do you suppose that it is being turned on its heels in Great Britain and in all of Europe?
Well, actually, that's a very good point. I think what you're seeing is, and you just mentioned it's all over the globe, and that's why I believe it is referred to as the globalist agenda. Yes, what we're seeing across Europe, let me get to the Europe for the UK, what we're seeing across Europe is left-leaning politicians losing and more leaning politicians doing very well, and the electorate is, you're totally and utterly right. I think the thing with immigration is that it's the dilution of one's national culture.
Yes.
Things that have been celebrated and treasured for hundreds of years. For example, just give one tangible example, in Germany, yet another one of the terrible situations where a car ran into people in a street scene, and the Christmas markets, they don't hold the Christmas markets anymore. They had to close down Christmas markets in Germany. Christmas has been celebrated in Germany for hundreds and hundreds of years. So I think that's what it is. It's the dilution of a natural cultural identity. So now, yes, you're seeing it across Europe, you're seeing it in the UK, and I will say this, I think President Trump has been a source of hope and inspiration for the rest of the world, particularly, probably most importantly, of all of his successful policies, probably more than anything, what he did with the southern border, that we went from hundreds and then thousands of people crossing on a daily basis to basically zero. Under the Biden administration, they said it wasn't even possible, and President Trump came in and did that. And I think that the Europeans and the British are very savvy in terms of watching what President Trump has accomplished, and they want the same thing. You're right.
All right, we've got more I want to cover with you on the other side of the break. Hillary Fordwich, by the way, Hillary Fordwich on the Twitter. Let's continue the conversation after this. This is The Rob Carson Show.
Britain just went full MAGA. Nigel Farage is storming through Great Britain tonight like Trump through the Rust Belt. The elites hate it, the media mocks it, and the establishment parties panic every time he opens his mouth. Well, if it sounds familiar, reform's exploding. The Conservatives are collapsing, Labour hemorrhaging support. But let's be clear about this. This isn't voters simply sending a message. It's political realignment, because what Nigel Farage appears to be building looks pretty similar to what Donald Trump built here in America. An insurgent movement fueled by voters who believe the political class has ignored them for years. And by golly, haven't they? They've been ignored. Look at the pattern. Working class frustration, migration anxiety, economic anger, cultural resentment, and total contempt. Maybe this is the most important point. Total contempt for establishment politicians.
100%. Oh my goodness, it mirrors what's happening here. And I would just love to see somehow Nigel Farage becoming the Prime Minister of Great Britain. I think he is the guy who could save the country like Donald Trump has saved the United States of America. What do you think? What do you think, Hillary Fordwich?
Oh, yes, Rob, I think that you're absolutely right. And if I could just make a point, I'll come back to that, but just make a point about what we just heard. That was Ben Leo. I always have the pleasure of being on with him on TV News Saturday night, every other Saturday night and every other Wednesday night. But what's important that's happened, I mentioned earlier that the Labour government has lost Wales, which has been a Labour stronghold for 100 years. And what we're seeing is the same exactly that, to your point, we're seeing here in the US, which is the party in the US that was for labor unions, for the worker, the working man, the Democratic Party. The labor unions here came out for President Trump. Why? Because he actually was speaking for the American people, American jobs, and not putting illegals first. And what's happening in the UK, just like the US, hard-working, working-class people, tradespeople, people that get up every day. And in England, I think Nigel Farage has come up with a very good phrase. He's called it the alarm clock people, like people that get up to an alarm, go to work every day, and aren't sitting around at home for benefits. They're seeing their people brought into their neighborhoods, given free housing, free food, and they're illegals. They're not even following the law. So what you have are these global elites that are displacing local populations. And so these global elites don't respect the labor, in other words, Labour Party, but labor of the tradespeople, just like here in America, where you are seeing this change in parties because it's people wanting this elitist agenda, which is borderless, illegals replacing cultures.
Have they tried to take down Farage like they have Trump? I mean, I know he's faced headwinds. In fact, I met you when I met Nigel Farage. By the way, that was the first time I met you.
We did.
What have they done? How's the media on him? Are they as bad on him as they are on Trump and also the political class?
Oh, yes. In fact, they found something that he'd said at a schoolboy in school that one of his schoolmates said, and they tried to hold that against him. And then now they keep bringing up the fact that he was given £5 million by a crypto, I think he's from South Korea, some kind of crypto magnate, for his own security. To your point, are they trying to take him out? For his own family security. He was in like a country pub somewhere just with his family many years ago, before he was running even for office, but because he was so pro-Brexit, and he was being shouted out of the pub, and so he took this money for he wasn't even in office, he wasn't running at the time, he did not have to declare it, and now they're using that against him as if it's some kind of, soft money, and as if he's some kind of crook. So they're probably going to try to do all the things as they did here, no pun intended, trumped up charges against President Trump, like the Russiagate, etc. And what I will say about this is Nigel Farage, and this is what he and Donald Trump have in, and what I really respect, like Ronald Reagan, the politicians that succeed and go down in history are those with what I refer to and we know as the true North Star. Nigel Farage really believes this. So one of the many, many issues with Keir Starmer is he doesn't have any moral compass. He'll go with the wind. He doesn't really care. He doesn't seem to actually even care about what happens to Great Britain. Nigel Farage, he was pictured just recently belting out and singing Rule Britannia, which would like be in America singing America the Beautiful. Like he loves his country. He wants to save the country. And that is what I think. It's that authenticity, that dedication to his North Star that the voters want.
Very much like Margaret Thatcher. When I heard him speak, it was a delight because he doesn't really give a damn what other people think. I remember he stood at the podium when we were seeing him, and he says, some people will say I am a drinker. Some people will say I'm a womanizer. Some people will say I use coarse language. And to that I would say, Of course. I was like, yes, I love this guy. I love this guy.
By the way, that was a pretty good impression there, Robert. Like that, yeah.
Well, I have a kinship with the British. I think I've told you this. I got my DNA test, and I always thought I was Irish, English, and German. It turns out I am English, Irish, and German. So a lot of English.
Oh, there you go.
But I've always felt a kinship with the British, and I thought the visit by the King was a much needed exercise. It was a glorious recommitment to one another, and I'm energized by this election and Keir Starmer getting his teeth kicked in, and I just wish Great Britain Godspeed.
Well, I do. The only thing that I think is such a pity, though, Rob, is I wish we could get aligned, like you just brought up Margaret Thatcher, like we had, Maggie and Ronnie, how they got along. Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan got along so well, and they were able to form a very strong alliance together. The sad thing will be, probably, most likely, by the time that Nigel Farage probably is Prime Minister, more like 28 or 29, we won't have President Trump. Let's hope we have Marco Rubio or another great Republican and maintain the Republican. But that we need that. I personally just think we need that alignment, that transatlantic alignment, because we can be a force for safety, for security, for good, and for trade and business in this world.
Very good. All right, listen, we got to run. Hillary Fordwich on Twitter. It's 1L, by the way. Hillary Fordwich, W-I-C-H, on Twitter. Anywhere else people can see your glorious work?
Yes, absolutely. Sky News Australia, Newsmax, you mentioned GB News. I'm on LinkedIn, and I love to come and speak, keynote speaking, cover royals, economics, and politics. And thank you for having me, Rob.
Yeah, definitely look on LinkedIn to Hillary Fordwich's page if you're looking for a public speaker. Thank you. Have a glorious day, and thanks for joining me today. I appreciate it.
You too, Rob. Absolutely. Anytime. Thank you.
I think we need to hear this from Jim Gossett about the kicking in of Keir Starmer's teeth in Great Britain.
Election day in London town. Labour Party, it went down. More than 1,000 seats they lost.
He does good comedy overseas.
Keir Starmer will pay the cost.
Get him out of here.
Starmer's future is looking dim.
He's a flop.
Nigel Farage,
come on,
the next PM.
Would be nice.
Reform Party will take charge soon. An incompetent Keir Starmer's gonna be gone.
Big finish, come on.
Gone by June.
There you go. That is Jim Gossett, Patreon.com, Jim Gossett Comedy, another great standard. Let's take a break and come back. This is The Rob Carson Show.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a neat...
Jim Gossett's a genius. Love the big man. You know why I do standards, guys? Because standards are evergreen. Like we do show tunes, some musical songs that are very popular. And the reason being is they're easier to sing, they're more universal, they're timeless. And then also in Jim's range, and a lot of times, like when you do, I'll just give you a little thing about satire. When you do songs featuring voices that are well-known, like Elton John songs, they never play because nobody can sing like Elton John. Same goes with Queen songs. Nobody can sing like Freddie Mercury. So you stay away from those as far as satire is concerned. Unless you're going to have like a Donald Trump AI sing it or, an impressionist sing it. But there you go. A little inside baseball with regard to comedy writing. Thank you very much. Hello. Revolutionary Records. Oh, wow. Yeah, you're a toad. I'm going to go ahead and block you right at Revolutionary Records. How about bye-bye? Revolutionary Records. What a loser. Hello, Joseph Hick. Just 5-4 is auto. I don't know what that is. Hello, Steve Brother. Don't know who you are, but hello. Lauren O'Leary. Hello. Good to see you. Thanks for joining me today. Let's see who's watching over on Facebook. Prana Yoprachat. Hello. Chris Schwab, Dale Arsenault, the usual suspects, James Cole. How's things on your end of the equator? Oh, and of course, you guys over on Chief Sinbad doing a little dance over on Rumbly Roo. Hello, Rumbly Roo. Oh, I got to talk. How often do you get a $10,000 rebate on anything? You ever had a $10,000 rebate? Neither have I. And I don't think I've ever really had $10,000. On hand, anyway. Right now is a good time to buy gold. Supply constraints on commodities cause prices to surge. We see this with oil. If you get a freeze in the orange groves, the price of orange juice goes through the ceiling. If you get a drought in the Midwest, the price of wheat goes up, or the cost of corn goes up, or soybeans, or whatever. Gold is a commodity. They mine it out of the ground. When it's gone, it's gone. Governments can't print more of it. So if they're buying it, it's more rare. Consequently, it goes up in value, and you should have some in your portfolio. If you're thinking about moving some of your savings into physical gold, Birch Gold is the group that I trust because they've got my money. They've got my money. I get my little statement every month telling where it is and all that. Now through May 29th, Birch Gold offering first-time gold buyers a rebate up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. $10,000. For details and free information on diversifying into gold, text Rob to the number 989898. That's Rob to 9898. Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into physical gold. Physical gold. Physical gold. Text Rob to the number 989898 to see if you qualify. First-time gold buyer. Rebate up to $10,000. Again, text my name, Rob, to 989898. I really don't have time to play any audio or anything before I go. And I've kind of covered most of it today, actually. This is probably one of those days that I actually got to almost all of the things that I was going to cover. Sometimes I don't. If you get a chance to check out the podcast, though, I'll tell you this. The podcast was really taking off. I moved to Washington, D.C. now about 9 months ago. And we went from not on the radar to number 10 in the country a couple weeks ago for political commentary. So a lot of people are listening to the podcast. We take this show every day, remove the commercials, put it into 3 separate podcasts every day on your usual podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, all these. It's all over the place. So go to your usual podcast platforms. And if you would, for instance, on Spotify, just ring the little bell there and subscribe wherever it is and share it with other people because it's growing. And this is the only show in America that is doing leading edge opinion. We're way out in front of a lot of people on the opinion, but we also do make a point with humor whenever possible. Yeoman's Effort by Ken and everybody producing today with a great lineup of guests. Redneck MacGyver, you kick ass, bro. Did a great job, Brian. You too, and Balmer. You're the best, brother. God bless you. America's founded Donald Trump doing a great job as president. Our military, it's kicking Iran's arse. And until tomorrow, which is Tuesday, do not catch the stupid. I'll see you then.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.